Growing up in the teachings of Bill Gothard, we are supposed to keep our husbands happy and just doing whatever they want us to do. It was terrifying for me to be able to speak up against that.
How do you call all of your siblings and your parents every week? Is there a calendar
There's
schedule?
no way.
Like you'd have to call 2 to 3 people a day.
Oh my word, it's
every
so
day.
true. My thought process was constantly about food. I had friends who naturally were like super skinny, and I would look at these girls and I kept thinking, well, I'm just not pretty enough.
Do you guys have a plan for the birth?
My birth plan is literally to go in and have the baby. I just don't like to plan a lot of things.
Actually.
Close up of the unplanned side.
Unplanned. Duh.
We sat down with Jinger Duggar and Jeremy Volo, who revealed the shocking truths behind Ginger's new book, People Pleaser. Imagine being relentlessly stalked by paparazzi as an adult after growing up in the public eye. Jinger recalls the chilling reality of memorizing suspicious cars outside her home in LA just to stay safe. This conversation will leave you rethinking everything that you thought you knew about Ginger's life. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Unplanned Podcast.
No, please.
Today we are joined by Jinger and Jeremy. Let's give it up.
Guys,
Let's
Matt
give
is
it
in
up.
rare form right now. I
Thank
don't
you
know
so
why
much.
you're so... I think Jeremy hypes you up.
Bro, you guys
It's
are
like
pregnant.
insane.
She's pregnant. What are your thoughts on saying you guys are pregnant or we're pregnant?
I feel
She's
like
pregnant.
I always say I'm pregnant. No, we're pregnant.
Oh,
'Cause that would
really?
be weird, right?
I like it when other people say you guys are pregnant or
Yes.
like, because I'm like, thank you. Like, I do
Yeah.
need a little help with this.
It's weird
She's
if I
pregnant.
say it.
We're expecting.
Yes.
There you
Yes.
There
Right?
you go.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I think
That
that
makes
sense.
a lot more sense. I like that.
I feel like I kind of adopted the whole we're pregnant thing because I thought Abby liked it if I said that.
I do.
But I feel like everyone's different,
like,
and that's
we're a
okay.
team.
That's
you know?
okay.
We're a team,
That's okay.
and
Yes.
this is like we're in this together.
Yes.
But I'm definitely the one who's pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I like that. We're expecting Abby's pregnant.
Which I feel like last time we talked.
I'm not pregnant.
Yeah, imagine.
Wow.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh man, that would be crazy. Oh my gosh.
But the
Okay.
last time we talked to you guys weren't certain if you were going to have another baby.
We weren't sure.
That's true.
I was a little like, okay, I was so comfortable with where we were with our girls, and I was starting to like really feel like we've hit a rhythm. We're in a good place. And so I wasn't wanting to like just jump into having a third kid immediately. So that's why there's like a 4-year age gap now.
Is it 4 years?
It's gonna be 4 years. Evie
Oh my
just turned
gosh.
4.
Oh,
She
that's
just
true.
turned 4, which is wild.
Wow.
Wait, that's the age
Yeah.
gap I have with my brothers.
Crazy.
And I'm
Is
not
it
as-
okay?
is
And
it
I'm not
okay?
as close to my younger brother as I am my older brother.
Don't tell us that.
Sorry.
We're just not going to talk about that. So then
But
we're going
hey,
to have to have another one.
but-
So now
As
we have
with-
to know another in 2 years.
But now we're getting
But I
closer
feel like
again.
don't
I feel
think
like
that's
they're
gonna
having
happen.
a boy, so it was going to be different anyway.
Wow. So you're predicting it.
I'm predicting it.
I love that.
I believe. Hey, I
They
believe
know.
it.
They know.
Wait,
what
you
they're-
guys already know.
They
Yeah.
know.
We
it.
know.
They haven't had
Do you
their
know?
party.
Do you
We
have like a
haven't told our
date?
kids.
Is
They
there a
haven't even
special
told their
date that you're
children.
announcing?
I think in a few days after this podcast airs. we're
Oh my
announcing.
gosh. Wait, so
Are
by
we-
the time this is out, everyone's gonna
I'm
already know.
going to be publicly humiliated.
Okay, you guys will already know by the time this is out, but we're saying boy because we're like guessing the future.
I just
basically.
feel like
Okay.
they're going to have a little version
We'll
of Jeremy.
see.
I feel like they are.
We'll see.
I don't mind that.
They have
I
good
like your
poker
prediction.
faces.
It's a good prediction.
How are you doing with the pregnancy?
This pregnancy has been the same as the other ones were. And I am now like far enough along to where I'm not nauseous. Very thankful. And yeah, 25 weeks. It's good.
Wow.
That's so
Great.
far. That really is.
It is. Yeah. It's flown
Over
by
halfway.
in a sense. Like the beginning never flies by. You always feel like rubbish. But getting past that and then being now in a stage where I just feel like this is the happy stage.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I have more energy and I'm actually able to like get projects done, things like that. It's kind of nice.
Is there anything that is frustrating? Like I know with Abby when she was pregnant, Abby loves to like scald her skin when she's like in the shower in the
That's
bath.
me every-
So I'm like, yo,
every
Abby,
day.
you can't make the water 200
You would always
degrees
touch the
when
water
you're
and be like,
pregnant.
"No."
Sorry, I don't shower in lava. Like I like water to shower.
Yeah, it's just crazy though. That nothing's changed there because I'm like, I know I can't, not taking like a scalding bath, but like a shower. I'm like,
It's unbelievable.
It's fine as long as it's on my back. I'm good. And I just cannot change the temp because then I'm freezing.
Yes, it's really cold otherwise.
Freezing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would take a bath when I was pregnant and I would just dip his finger and it's like,
Yeah.
Abby!
Yeah.
Be like,
That's
girl,
why
what are you
I don't. I don't even take a
trying to
bath.
cook this baby? Like, what's going on?
I know.
I was like, it's fine.
Because I hate it cold. I hate it when
I
it's
didn't
cold.
do
And when I
anything
say
crazy.
cold, I mean like Jeremy would feel like he was boiling in my cold
yeah.
water. So I can't take a bath because I know I will want it boiling. And so I just,
Yeah.
I'm like, showers are the way to go. That's
I
it.
was very careful.
Do you guys have a
just
plan for the birth? Because I know some people are like, hey, we like to do a home birth, or we like to do a natural birth. Like any certain preferences there that you
Jeremy,
really
what are you planning? Because
Jeremy,
So we just talked about this on our podcast a couple episodes ago because there's such a culture around certain types of birth.
Yes.
And people feel very passionately about it.
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
And I want to understand that. I can't relate to that. But because my thinking is just safely deliver this child.
Yeah.
So use
So-
everything that you have at your
Yeah.
disposal to make the safest, easiest delivery.
Like for real though. So whenever we were first talking about like Felicity's birth, I just like a lot of my sisters had complications with theirs and they were like all trying to do home births or like have midwife or be at a birth center. And they would get transported. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And Jeremy for sure was like, no way. Like we're not going that route because it's just.
Well, I wasn't
when you
against
have,
a midwife or a birth center, but
we
I
did
wanted us to be
that,
at the
but like
hospital
we
for
had
the
them
delivery.
in the hospital with us. So there's a difference. Like you're there if you have an emergency, you're not being transported.
Yeah.
So that's what we decided to do. But my birth plan is literally to go in and have the baby.
Nice.
That's how I plan, because if I plan anything else, it's not going to happen. That's what I feel like. I feel like birth is, this is my personal opinion. Let me just say that. I feel like with the ones who plan so much out, they were more stressed because their plan did not go as planned.
Yep.
For me, I'm not a planner in general. I just don't like to plan a lot of things.
Actually.
So
Close up of the unplanned
Oh,
side.
unplanned. Duh. But seriously, I just like to go in and
You're explaining not planning to the
am-
masters of not planning.
Yeah, this is great. So I go in and I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to labor as long as I can without an epidural, and then I will get an epidural, and then I will have the baby. That's what I want to do. That's my plan, and I don't, like, even the doctors, they're like, okay, well, you're kind of going to, like, go through some doctors and see who's on call, and I'm like, that's fine. Let's do that. So I'm not, like, worried about it.
Yeah.
Because if I think about it, then I will get freaked out.
We have a friend in Hawaii that bought an inflatable pool and booked a hotel room on the North Shore, and filled up the inflatable pool with water and gave birth to their child in that hotel room.
I'm never going to stay at a hotel again.
Bro, you never know what goes on in hotels.
If you would meet her though, you'd be like, of course you did that, and of
Yeah.
course it was everything that you
Such
wanted.
a fun
random.
person to be around too. Like I love
I
their
love
energy.
that.
So if that's
But-
you, if you are like buying inflatable pools to give birth in a hotel room, like you're probably a really fun person.
She
I
was,
wanna be your
Yeah.
friend.
she was an hour from the hospital.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I
couldn't
feel like
do
you
that
guys should
part.
send it. Honestly, that's what I would do if I were you guys.
Bro.
What the heck?
Yeah, easy for you to say over here.
C-section.
Wow.
We had a scheduled C-section.
Let's go. Get it done.
It's like, do the opposite of that.
When she sees the inflatable pool come from Amazon, she'll be like, Chair.
Get rid of that.
What's
It's
going
out
on?
now. We have a pool already. Why is this here?
Get rid
Why
of
do we
that.
have a reservation for my due date at the Hilton?
I can't.
The La Quinta.
You get a call in your
Oh, my
room.
word.
Why is there so much like noise coming from? It sounds like someone's giving birth.
The thing is, though, like I in hotels, honestly, like I'm always thinking of germs, and I just like. I will keep my shoes on and like have these things because I'm like, who knows what took place in this room? I don't want to think
That's
about
not
it.
what I'm thinking
I
about.
cannot, I can't fully like relax. And now knowing
Matt
that
really thinks this is a
that
good
scarred
idea.
me.
Like, he really is bought into
That's
this.
horrible.
Bro, no, when I go to a hotel
rare
room,
form
I'm
of
like,
it.
how many children were conceived in this hotel
Yeah,
room
that's
right
his
now?
first
Like,
thought.
what? Like, you just
No.
don't know what goes on.
Wait, speaking of hotels and honeymoon stuff.
Wait,
And you're
Should we
like,
jump into that?
that was
Yes.
funny. So I
Feisty.
read your newest book coming out January
14.
14th, and I've been like filling Matt in on like all the fun stories and like tidbits about it. Also, there's so many parts of the book where I just wrote Matt for him to read because I was Matt could gain a lot from this book as well.
Yep.
But
yep.
you were talking about how you had planned like a second honeymoon in California, and it was going to be like
Oh, yeah.
a little bit of work, a little bit of fun, and you
Yeah.
had this gorgeous Airbnb. Talk about it a little bit.
Oh yeah, we had a plan. It was so great. We were gonna go to Burbank area, and it was in the equestrian
District.
center, whatever. And we were gonna go there and stay at this Airbnb. So we booked it online. This was our very first time ever going to an Airbnb. And from the photos, it was like a white picket fence. The house was like gorgeous. So we were super excited. As soon as we pulled up, we were like, wait, this doesn't look like the picture, but maybe it is. Like maybe something's different. We're going to go inside and see. So literally in the front yard, it was all dirt. It was all like torn up. In the pictures, it was luscious green grass, white picket fence, flowers, everything. So we you didn't even have a coat because they said the host was going to meet you there or something.
Yeah.
So the host, we knocked on the door and the host opened the door, and you've got to tell them what happened.
Well, yeah, she just started showing us around, and we started to pick up cues. Like, wait a second, are we not the only ones here?
Oh my gosh!
So we go back to.
You figured it out really quick.
We go back to our bedroom. Really, there's no locker on the door.
No.
The door hardly closes. I mean, it got weird.
Oh, and it wasn't even like a full room. So this is part of it. When you open the door to the room we were supposed to stay in, on the back side are double French doors that don't lock, and there's a sheet hanging up, and that's your headboard.
Shut up! You're gonna get murdered.
That is your headboard. Yes. Oh, it gets worse. we were trying to figure out okay, what the heck is happening right now? We don't understand. We just don't get it. So then she leads us out of our room down the hallway to the bathroom, and she's like, when you go to the bathroom, when you take a shower, leave the window open.
Shut up.
She shows us,
so we're looking out
and she's
this little
and
window.
It doesn't lock either. None of the doors locked, but she was like, okay, look out. She said, and out there, don't mind.
No. There's a woman walking, an old woman
Yes.
walking, and I went, who's that?
Yeah.
And she goes, don't
mind her. She's just out there. She's just trimming roses, and there were beautiful flowers in the backyard. And she's out there, this older lady, just methodically trimming roses with her little scissors. But she wants you to leave the window open, right? So we're like, this is weird. Then we come out, and she leads us to the kitchen, which was a gorgeous kitchen. Well, she opens the fridge and starts saying, you can eat that, you can't eat that, don't touch this, you can have this shelf. And we were looking at each other like, what did we get ourselves into? Because we were supposed to be staying for 4 nights or something. And then in the living room, there was a guy laying on the couch.
Oh,
That's my favorite
with
part.
headphones on.
watching TV, but the TV's silent because he's
It
got
was
headphones
silent.
on.
He had headphones on, and he's literally laying on the couch, sprawled out. And we realized we had to get out of there.
This feels like an
had
opening
to get out of
scene
there.
to a horror movie.
Yes.
I'm
The way
proud
you
of you
just
guys,
described
though.
that.
'Cause
Yes.
why do I feel like we would have just been like, all right.
No. Oh no. Okay.
But that's the point. That's why you told the story in your book, isn't it? 'Cause
So this is it. As we were trying to figure out what to do,
You
we were
went to
looking at
Chipotle.
each other, and we were just like, this really sucks. So we told her, we're like, well, we're going to be back. We left something that was not expensive, like a tiny little bag there in the room to make it look like we were coming back. But we left, went to Chipotle, and just sat there like, oh, what are we going to do? And we weren't well off. We didn't have a lot to oh, screw this, we're gonna leave, we're going.
Yeah.
We couldn't do that, and so
Yeah.
we were trying to figure out if we have this deposit in there, we want to make sure we can get it back.
Yeah.
Or we don't know what to do, but we were not gonna stay there.
Totally.
We were gonna do whatever we had to get out of there, but it was a hard decision to make because as a people pleaser, you just feel bad because she also was she was there talking to us.
Yeah,
it wasn't
that's harder.
you
You're
know
not just
Yeah.
messaging.
yeah, it's her house.
Yeah.
So we talked about it, and we came up with a plan that we were going to go back and tell her, hey, this is not what we expected. We thought we had the entire house. This is our first time using Airbnb. And so that's what we did. And whenever we told her that, then she was like, well, you should have read the description. Maybe it was, it was in the description or something. I don't know if it was or not, but they didn't say a guy was going to be laying on the couch and you couldn't lock your door
Yeah.
and there's rows in the backyard, So we basically were just like, okay, I don't know what to do. And we said, well, we're just so sorry, but we can't stay.
Yeah.
Because this is basically a second honeymoon for us. We were newly married. We just wanted our own space.
Yeah.
And she's like, I understand, but you should have read the description. She's like, she was very kind, though she did give us some of our deposit back.
Oh, good.
Which
good.
was a blessing, but we didn't get it all back, right? So we were like, ugh. Anyhow. And then she was like, well, if you're not staying here, where are you staying? And I was literally looking up hotels at the time. She grabbed my phone out of my hand.
She grabs your phone.
Grabbed my phone out of my hand.
That's creepy.
And she starts looking through. Oh, nope, that's a bad
She was
area. This is a
definitely trying
bad
to murder you
area.
guys.
Okay, you need to go here. Yeah.
She definitely had some
I felt
sketchy
that.
stuff planned.
Yes, because
Oh
it was
my
like,
God.
what's happening?
The sheet by the window? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was insane. So we made it out. And I think in that, though, like, I don't know. Like, I always would feel so bad to say no to somebody, to tell them, like, okay, I'm not going to be able to, stay here or whatever it is. Like, if it's a sketchy doctor's office, and that also happened to me.
Oh, yeah.
About to
The
draw
blood
blood,
work.
and it was like hot in there, and it was like in a Sketchville, and you're just like, why are we here?
Yeah.
But they were like, why are you leaving? And I was like, okay, we'll wait for the doctor. Jeremy's like, get out. We're gonna we can't stay. So those types of things, I'm always like trying to be accommodating, trying to make
Yeah.
everybody happy. And I realized at the end of the day, it's not worth it. You
Yeah.
can't just continue to accommodate everyone,
Was
even
that-
at the safety of your own lives, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just not good.
I resonate with your book so much because I have always felt the need to please others. And it was honestly a survival tactic in a way. It felt like, oh, if everyone else is happy, then I'm going to be safe. Right. But then you like lose yourself in that when it's like you're constantly doing whatever everybody else wants. And it's like, what do I want? What do I care about? What matters to me? What was the moment that you realized that you needed to start having more self-respect?
I think growing up in the setting that we had talked about like last time, just of the teachings of Bill Gothard, a lot of that was like, okay, we are supposed to be peacemakers, especially as women. We're supposed to keep our husbands happy. And so just doing whatever they want us to do and say, a lot of those things were kind of playing into my people pleasing already, and giving me even a deeper foundation of like, okay, this is how I need to please everyone around me. And so being, agreeable, being helpful in every way, and not thinking twice about what I actually think. And so even when we were first married, I noticed it in a lot of ways, because Jeremy would ask me like, hey, where do you want to go to dinner? Or what do you want for lunch? And I would just be like, whatever you want, babe. Because I was just trying to keep him happy. And that was something that I saw just throughout my growing up years. But it wasn't until I went to write Becoming Free Indeed that I realized how much of a people pleaser I was. And that started showing up everywhere, because in that book, I was going to be exposing this horrible teaching that was leading us to like a very bad place, and me, my friends, loved ones. And it was terrifying for me to be able to speak up against that, because I knew it was going to ruffle people's feathers. I knew that it was not going to be the easiest thing for everyone to hear. And that was the thing that really made me see like, wow, I am so consumed with what they think about me that I'm not even willing to speak up for those who are still in that place. And that was the moment that I think it kind of dawned on me. It was like a light bulb moment, because I felt like for so many years I was like, I could never do that. I could never speak up against this teaching, because it's just too hard as a people pleaser. Like, it's just too hard for me. And I kept thinking, oh, I know this friend who could do it because they're really bold, but that's never going to be me. But then when no one else spoke up about it, then I realized I have to. Like, it came to the point where I knew that that was something I had to do. And so I think that moment really was transformative for me, because no longer was I able to just live in that comfort of keeping everybody happy with me. I knew, okay, the second this is released, it can cause issues, and I have to be okay with that.
Jeremy, what was that like from a husband's point of view, seeing your wife struggle with feeling the need to people please, feeling the need to, probably, you're taught as a kid growing up in the strict upbringing that you had is, children obey your parents. You feel this need to always please everyone. How did you navigate that and help Ginger navigate that as her husband?
We had a lot of conversations about it, because I started to notice that about her people pleasing, wanting to keep everyone at bay, everyone happy. And whether that meant, trying to put on a show for other people or not saying the wrong thing. And so the conversations we had about the timing of writing this book, Becoming Free Indeed, which led to People Pleaser, was who are we trying to please ultimately? Because by trying to keep certain people happy, you're keeping other people sad and in bondage and victims. So you need to be okay standing up to someone who isn't going to be happy with you in order to genuinely please or help or genuinely love others who are being hurt.
Dang.
So it was like this bully. We've talked a lot, and you write about this in your book, but we talked a lot about the bully, where it's like, you don't want the wrath of the bully, so you're willing to allow those people to be bullied so that he's happy with you. Well, you need to switch around who you're trying to please.
Yeah.
And so for her, it was, I think, a gradual coming to that understanding, and then she's so courageous, and she's ultimately driven by a love for others. Now it's not always easy, but when that really clicked with her and we were having those conversations, I think she realized, okay, I have to do this. But like you just said, in the writing of that, writing Becoming Free Indeed was like the greatest therapy, because she was learning a lot about herself.
Yeah.
And then coming out of Becoming Free Indeed, and even her and I seeing just so much growth, she was looking back going, wait a second, like, people pleasing's an issue in my life.
Yeah.
Which led to her wanting to write, the next.
Okay, I got to do a test right now. I know we're getting lunch after this. Ginger, where do you want to get lunch at?
Well, I was going to say wherever you want.
Whatever you want. Hey, make a decision right now.
Is that the right answer?
What do you want? What do you want?
It depends on the day. What I want is sushi that I can't have.
No,
but I can have baked rolls.
Wait, yes. Wait, what?
So
what if we go to a baked sushi place after this?
There we go.
Let's freaking go. We love sushi.
Let's do
We
it.
love it. No,
Let's
I'm
go.
so proud of you, because I feel like, the people pleaser, and you probably always want whatever anybody else wants. No, you
Did
just
she
said
pass the
it.
test?
Let's freaking go.
Okay.
Pass the test.
Baked sushi,
Okay.
baby. That's
I just
that's
about
awesome.
knocked this mic down.
I think one of the stories that I feel like so many of us moms can relate to when reading that book is the story about the Cheerios underneath the kitchen table.
Yes.
Because I thought it was hilarious. So I'll actually let you tell the story
Yeah.
about the Cheerios, and then
my
I have a
word.
couple thoughts too, because I know
Yeah.
that would be my kid.
Oh yeah, totally. So it was like one of my best friends. This was like when I was first getting to know her, right? So like she asked if she could stop by my house, and it was like last minute. So she comes in, and I was standing there talking to her. I was already thinking in my mind, like, okay, she asked me to come over and I'm going to say yes, but my house is not that clean. And that's always the first thing that comes to mind as a mom. Like, your house will be spotless. It will look so good. And no one comes over for 2 days. And then the second that somebody wants to come last minute, it's a wreck, right? That's how it always happens. And it can look like, man, I never clean my house, but you just wouldn't know what a clean freak I actually am. So you just have to come on the right day. Well, my friend comes over and she's chatting with me, and I was like, this is so nice. I'm so glad I had her come over. And then I turn around, and her little baby is on the floor, and she's getting under the table and eating old dried Cheerios that may have been from the day before. And I was just like, oh. So I felt so bad, and I quickly apologized to mom. I was like, I'm so sorry. My floors are so dirty. So when she was there, like, I just went and got a broom and like started trying to like pry them off with the dustpan.
Yeah.
Just like, they get stuck. I was like scraping off these old Cheerios off the floor, and she's like, it's fine, Ginger, don't worry about it. Like, we're just happy to be here. And she was so chill, and we had like the best conversations that day, and the sweetest time. And that actually transformed my mind and my mindset and thinking, because I thought, okay, I could have like traded down. I could have just said like, okay, my house is not clean. It's not perfectly clean. And I just don't want you to see that I don't have everything together. But in that time, the way that she responded to kind of like disarmed me. And I was like, okay, she's not like judging me for this. She might later, but no, I'm kidding. She's not judging me in the moment. And she was being a true friend.
Yeah.
And after that, it was actually really cool, because like the closer friendship we started to form, and this friendship really took off. And now she's the one who comes to my house. Like, if I have something a project, then she'll come to my house and be like, okay, I have an hour, let's tackle it. And then I'll go to her house. So we switch off all the time on projects that we need to have done, or like she needs help cleaning her house. So I'll pop over for an hour with, Evie, and it's great. Like, it's actually built more of like a genuine friendship where we don't feel like we have to have everything all together. We can look a mess. Our house can be a mess. Our kids cannot have it all together, but we don't care, because that's what genuine friendship is in that place of us not just trying to keep a front of who we want people to think that we are, but they're able to actually come into our life and see, okay, they don't have it all together. I don't either. We don't have to keep up this front. And that's how I've now had like the best friendship with my friend.
Thank you to Nutrafol for sponsoring this portion of today's episode. I feel like there are so many hair growth products on the market, and Nutrafol genuinely makes the most sense in my mind because it's a pill you're swallowing. It's a supplement. You gotta heal the core of why you're experiencing hair shedding. You know what I mean? Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. And they make it super easy, you guys. They just ship it right to your door. And you can save up to 20% if you get the subscription. It's physician formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients. You don't have to get a prescription or anything for it.
Abby and I have both been taking Nutrafol for a while now. Abby started taking it during postpartum for postpartum hair loss.
Like Matt said, I started using Nutrafol when I was experiencing postpartum hair shedding, and now there's different causes for hair shedding at different times, and I will continue to take it because I feel like it's done amazing things for my hair. And you can start your hair care journey too with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter promo code UNPLANNED. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code UNPLANNED. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code UNPLANNED.
It's just so weird how our brains lie to us and tell us, oh, you need to be perfect. You can't have any Cheerios on your floor. They're not going to be your friend. So make sure there's no Cheerios.
Like, our kids would be like, free snack.
But in reality,
Totally, right?
in reality, I feel like, you working super hard to be this perfect person is going to push people away, and it does. I've seen that in my own life where I want so badly to, like, for people not to think I'm weird, that they end up thinking that I'm weird.
Yeah.
Or because you act weird, because you're like,
Right.
your fear of the thing you don't want to do ends up becoming greater than the desire you have for the thing you actually want. And I love that moment kind of helped bond you as friends, because you realized, oh, she actually likes me for who I am, and I don't have to put on for this person.
For sure.
Actually made me think about how we had just moved in October, and like we had boxes everywhere, moving. You guys have just done it too.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a disaster. And I have a bunch of mom friends that also have like 1 and 2 year olds, like really little kids. And they were like looking for a place that we could take all the kids. I was like, let's just go to our house, like, because that's just me. And then I was like, as I was quickly regretting that when they started coming in, I'm like, oh, there's boxes everywhere. There's so much stuff. And then they were like looking at some of the boxes. They were like, is this your new coffee table? Like, are you like, and I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, we'll just go to the playroom, like trying to shuffle them away from that.
Yeah.
Not that was clean either, but I was like, don't look at all this disaster. And they're like, let's put this together. Like, why don't we put this up right now?
That's
the kids will just
so
go in the
awesome.
playroom. All the moms, like we shuttled them up to the playroom. And they put together my coffee table.
That's
and
so
got rid of the
fun.
boxes and everything. I was like, that is like genuine friendship,
Yeah.
because it's not like they even are like okay with the mess. Like they like enter into it and
I love
like
that.
want to like participate and like help. I don't know.
That
it
was
was
the
really
sweetest
really
thing.
sweet.
That is so
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Like,
because we
just-
do initially, but yeah, we do initially just think like, oh, they're going to think so much less of us if we don't have everything together. And if we don't keep up this like facade of who we think we're supposed to be. And I think in that time we do lose ourselves. And like you were even saying, some of it can be a survival thing. Like it really can be, and how we process. And we can think, okay, like, there are times where maybe you have to keep somebody happy with you because they're not a healthy person to be around. And so you feel like you have to like keep them happy until you can get out of that situation.
Yeah.
And like that can be another coping mechanism that we try to use. But it also is like there are different sides to it. But when it comes to genuine friendship, you're not able to build that unless you let people into the messy sides of your life as well as the good sides. And so that's something that it's so hard for all of us to do every single day.
Something I've been talking about too with like my sister-in-laws and like some of my friends is like, as like someone close to someone, whether it's a family member or a friend, I feel honored when they like invite me into like a messy situation too, even if it's just like their house or like they're not put together, or they're like, I wouldn't normally ask anyone to do this, but like, could you please just like hold my baby for a couple hours? Like, I just need a couple, like, I'd never feel burdened by that. I always feel so honored that like wow, like we're close enough that you could like ask something like that of me. And so I feel like that is a fear too, like with people pleasing potentially, is like, oh, just like I don't want to make anyone else like inconvenienced. I don't want them to think that like I'm needy or like annoying in any way. And so it's like I feel like the opposite is actually true. I'm like, no, I'm like so pleased that you like felt like I was a safe person to reach out to in this way, or like wanted to give me this responsibility.
That's so good.
Do you think some of the people pleasing came from a place of feeling insecure?
For sure. Yes, 100%. I think for me in particular, like that is definitely something. I was so insecure for so many years, which led me to some bad places, because even with the way that I was viewing eating and things like that, I struggled with like just not eating enough. And it was because I thought I was too fat, and I wasn't. And it was a thought process of like wanting to belong and wanting to have those friendships that were genuine. And at some point we realized, okay, well, we were designed for community. That's a good thing. We weren't designed to live on an island by ourselves. We're supposed to be in community with other people. But when sin entered the world, that was broken. And so now community can be flawed. People will let us down. And so we're afraid of that. We're afraid of their rejection. We fear that if we show them, the side of me struggling, or maybe I don't look as pretty as I want to be, then I'm not going to be accepted. Or I have to have designer clothes to have people notice me, and things like that, where we can fall into these tendencies of wanting so desperately to be liked by people that desperation leads us to bad places. And it can be where we feel like, okay, now like I'm so consumed with myself, I'm so consumed with what everybody around me thinks, that ultimately all I care about is myself. I don't even care about you as my friend, because I'm thinking, what can I get out of you? What can I take from you, instead of what can I give to you? And so I think that is something that I struggled with for so many years, just wanting to be liked. And growing up in the setting that I was in, it didn't feel easy to be liked in that, because you were awkward. You come from a large family. Who else does? Like I had a lot of people around me who did, but then I'm wearing skirts when I play sports in the community. It just feels weird, right? There are a lot of things that were just, you're trying to fit in. You're trying to figure out who you are. And I think a lot of that people pleasing, the tendencies of that were even stronger, maybe because I was already awkward and not fitting in.
First of all, I'm so sorry that you have gone through, struggles with not feeling like you look the way that you want to look, and feeling like you need to cut back on food because you want to fit in. That's horrible. And I'm so sorry that you've experienced that. Like, I guess my question is, speak to what that experience was like. Speak to how it started. Was there a certain event that triggered that chain of events in your life? Like, what exactly led to you thinking, oh, I need to cut back on food to fit in so people like me?
Yeah. I think as I was in the ages of like 13, 14, 15, I just saw like, okay, I had friends who naturally were like super skinny, and I would look at these girls and think, okay, well, I would compare myself to them, and I was actually pretty skinny at that point. Like I wouldn't gain weight easily, but I thought I might. And it was that fear of just like, I wasn't as skinny as them, but I was still like healthy, And I think that just the comparison that started to happen in my mind, I didn't think properly about myself. I kept thinking, well, I'm just not pretty enough, or I'm not skinny enough. So I would just try to wake up later in the day and try to avoid meals and things like that. And I felt miserable because I was just thinking like, okay, I don't want to eat. Or I would think if I went to somebody else's house, that I'd be like, well, what are we going to eat? Am I going to have something that's going to actually not make me fat? Or is this like, that was my thought process, was constantly about food. My entire, every day would just be like, I would be consumed with that thought. And I talked to my mom because she was very open, like even, throughout the years and the TV show and all of that. She struggled with bulimia for years, and which is not something I struggled with. But when she was, a teen, that was something she really struggled with, like on the cheerleading team. And so I knew that, and I was able to go talk to her after I don't know how many months of like wrestling with this. And when I talked to her, then she was really sweet, and the way she handled it was so helpful, because she did not go from one extreme to the other, where she was just telling me like, okay, now you need to eat everything in sight. Like, she didn't force me to eat things that were unhealthy. Because like, I mean, we were in Arkansas. There were casseroles. You could easily gain 50 pounds in a meal if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And it was something that she just told me. She's like, well, Ginger, she's like, I really appreciate you telling me that. But like, she came up with a plan. Just text me what you eat every day, and I'd love to be accountable too. And I'll text you what I eat.
That's so sweet.
And it was so sweet, because in that time I was struggling so much, and I was so embarrassed by like how I was struggling, and I didn't want to open up to her, but I knew I could, because she's like the sweetest person in the whole world. So when I told her, she was like, yeah, and I can like, I want to try to eat healthier, so maybe we can eat healthy together. And she didn't force me to like eat unhealthy stuff, but she was like, I want to make sure you're getting enough protein, enough, you know, fiber. Let's like do this. And so it was the most helpful thing for me, because then I started to develop a healthy relationship with food. And it was something that I realized, okay, you don't have to like, when you struggled with that, thank you, love. She was telling me like, even though you struggle with this, it doesn't mean that you have to, I'm not going to force you to like eat 3 cheeseburgers, because you don't need to do that. But like, just eat what you need to eat. And that's enough. And it was helpful for me to process like, and she kept telling me like, you're beautiful just the way God made you, and he designed you just how he wanted you to be. So, all of those things, and even like exercise, right? Like, I like to work out. And so that's not a bad thing, but like, what is the driving motivation? Is it to be pleased, like to have the approval of other people around me? Or is it just to be healthy and to like eat healthy, work out, all the things that are actually fun and enjoyable about it? But that gave me a healthy perspective on food. And then moving forward, I was like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm eating the right amounts for my body, what is required. And then I started to feel better, more energy, more like just enjoying life again, you know, because I wasn't thinking about food. And then when I go to somebody's house and maybe they had something I typically wouldn't eat, or it was super greasy or unhealthy, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to eat this, and it doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to try not to think about it. And some days you can feel icky, and it's not always easy. But then I think just after years of that, I have not struggled with that as I did before. Like, I just for years have had so much freedom in that, and I'm really thankful for it. I think a lot of it really does go back to how my mom handled the situation and helped walk me through it, because she had been in a similar place.
I love how she didn't get angry at you. I love how she didn't say like, "Oh my gosh,
Like
why are you doing that? No, don't, like, it's so
Yeah.
bad." She's like, "Hey, let's just hold each other accountable. I'm gonna send you what I eat. You send me what you eat."
Yeah.
That seems so sweet.
It
Like,
was. It
seemed
was
like-
perfect. And I think like it'll be different for each person if that's
Yeah.
something they struggle with. Some people may need more in-depth help. But it was enough for me to know that like she kept telling me, she always would tell me anything I was struggling with. She's like, "You're going to be okay." And those words coming from your mom just mean the world, right? Because like you feel like as a teenager, especially being able to like talk to her about those things, it's hard to open up. But then at the same time, she would always make me feel like it wasn't so out of place, right? Like that reaction, she would never react. And that was something that was super comforting, because I knew I wasn't crazy. I wasn't like going insane. Like I was okay. We're going to get through this together. And I did.
It's so sweet too, because I think it might be easy for people that grew up in much smaller families to think, how could you ever have like personal relationships with that many children?
Yeah.
And the way that your mom was like, you clearly felt safe to approach her with about that, like something that a lot of people would be too afraid, or like, especially if it's someone that you don't know. Like you clearly had a really close relationship with your mom to like go to her with that, but then also like her response, and like that's really sweet to hear.
Yeah. She's amazing. I love her so much. She's like, yeah, she's a role model.
Has she gotten to read your book?
So I have not sent her a copy, because that is the first copy I've seen. So as soon as it comes out, I talked to her about it already a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, we were chatting about it, and I was just thanking her for how she helped me so much to like
sweet.
break free from a lot of that people pleasing. So
That's so sweet.
Has
And the book
Jeremy-
is dedicated to her.
I
So,
saw that.
That's
That was so
sweet.
sweet.
it's so
Look.
sweet.
Wait.
She really is the sweetest person. I wish you could meet her.
To my
can
mom,
read
you will
that?
always be my hero and best friend. I love you.
And I'm extra emotional in pregnancy, so I'm going
No,
to be
girl,
crying
you're
through this whole
preaching
thing.
the choir.
I felt so. I was like, gosh, dang it! Did I make you cry by asking that question?
No, but she is
Did you
so
show
sweet.
her this?
So I haven't yet. I haven't yet.
Oh
But
my-
I'm looking forward to getting her because I don't
That's
have a
gonna
copy
make her
yet. So I'm just
cry.
going to give it to her.
That's
Is she
sweet.
emotional?
She is, but she's also she's emotional, but she's also steady. So she has that deep strength. But such a sweet woman.
That is really sweet.
I love how you said that your mom was there for you and said you're going to be okay when you were going through that. Has that been a role that Jeremy has taken on now that you're a married woman?
Yeah.
You have, a third baby on the way. Like, has that relationship with your mom changed at all?
I think things change like whenever you are not in the same state. Like I'm not able, sadly, like, being far from family, you have to make more of a point to like call family members. And since I have so many, I try to keep in contact with my mom and my sisters as much as I can. And so I will FaceTime them a lot. We were just talking a couple days ago, and my mom is just such a rock. And I feel like Jeremy has really taken on just so much of that too, the encouragement, because we're a team. And he is just like always helping me walk through those things, or times where people pleasing will it bubbles up and there's so much to deal with. And he is a constant reminder, just like reminding me of the things that I need to be reminded of, of who I am in, and just like, even in pregnancy, right? Like those things come up where you feel like, oh man, my body's changing. It's going to be so long before I feel like I'm actually strong again. Or I feel like I can actually like function again and do all the things I want to do. But like, he's constantly telling me like, no, I love this. Like pregnancy is so beautiful. And just remember that, like, remember the stage you're in, to enjoy it and not to like let it slip by, and all of those things that I need to be reminded of. He's so good.
Her body is literally performing the most incredible miracle in the human experience. And she's like, oh, these jeans don't fit. I'm like, babe, get some perspective.
Not
here.
until
You're
today.
creating a human.
I'm gonna totally buy the jeans that you were telling me about, because
I've
like,
never
I can't
tried them
find
personally, but I
any.
know that Abercrombie has maternity ones.
That's the thing. I've not shopped on
Abercrombie's
there,
glow up, huh?
but I need
Glow up of the century.
I need jeans, because I'm wearing leggings today because I just don't have any that fit.
See, I had to
So-
wear maternity clothes. My belly was so huge.
Yeah,
It was
I know
so
it
big.
happens. I
And
always
I couldn't wear big dresses.
always gain
'cause
so
it
much
was
weight in
sticking out
pregnancy.
so much.
Yes, totally. I know dresses are not always
They're
as
not always
flattering in
safe.
pregnancy either.
Yeah.
I'm just like, nah.
How do you call all of your siblings and your parents every week? Like, is there a
don't.
calendar
There's
schedule?
no way.
Like, I feel like you'd have to call 2 to 3 people a day.
Oh my word, it's
every
so
day
true.
Yeah, it'd
to
be a
be
lot.
in communication with your
So-
family.
I do feel bad about that, because it's something that having that many siblings, it makes you feel more guilty, because we live away. A couple of my siblings do now that are married, but that's only recent, like in the past year.
Okay.
And so most of them live near each other, so they're constantly around everyone, all the nieces and nephews. We're at like 35 or 6, I don't even remember.
35 grandkids.
Yeah, there's so many, and they're just getting
It's going to
started.
be so much more. Like,
Changes
It's
by
probably
the
going to be
minute, so.
100, and we're going to have name tags. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not kidding. It's wild. So, with all that,
Name tags at
there's
Christmas.
literally no way that you could call every single sibling all the time. And
I
even
know
the other
Matt's
day,
getting out
Does he have his
confession
calculator
time.
out?
Confession time.
I just did some
Do
math.
some math.
I'm a nerd, okay?
What does it say?
If all 19 of you have 19 children each, how many total grandchildren is that?
Whoa.
You
We're
went
not
so
having
extreme.
19,
Let's
so I don't
think
know.
about-
So you got to just cut
Let's
that
just
out.
for the fun of it, though. If like all 19 kids have 19 kids, 300 what? What'd you
50,
say?
350.
361.
Whoa.
361
I don't
grandkids.
think any of them
Can
are
you
going to have
imagine?
19.
Can you imagine? But
you
still,
think?
though.
It's possible.
No, really. Which sibling is going to have 19? Or do you think, if you had a guess, if you were to like make an educated guess right now?
It's very possible.
Wait, guy
Well,
or girl?
okay, get this. So one of my brothers, he is a twin,
Okay.
and he
Oh, yeah.
he and his wife have 2 kids under the age of 2, and they're pregnant with twins.
Jed and Katie.
Jed and Katie. They're pregnant with twins.
Wait, they have
and the
2 kids under the age of 2 and they're pregnant with twins?
And yes, and their twins are going to be born
Mm-hmm.
before their oldest turns 3. So they're going to have 4 under the age of 2.
That, oh my gosh.
So So it's possible. Like I said, it's possible.
Bless them.
Yes,
I hope they have help.
they do.
I was just talking to somebody the other day that had triplets, and they were saying, like, bro, if we didn't have family by us, we would have died.
Yeah.
They were like,
I think if
no
you
way.
have twins or triplets, you need to move near family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
big
have
time.
family move to you.
Yeah.
Time.
100%. So yeah, it could happen. But the other day, Felicity, this is okay.
Wow, they
this
hit
is
the
a
ground
confession.
running.
This is a confession. So Felicity, she's my 6-year-old, and she I was talking about one of my siblings or something, and then she's like, "Wait, you have a sibling with that name?" I was like, "Oh." It just happens. That's her aunt or uncle, and it's like,
No.
because there's so many. She
she's met
knows
them and
them.
stuff
She's
and
met
hang out
all
with
of
them.
them,
Yeah.
hangs out with them, but it's like there are the younger ones. She will know some of them, but then like their names, it's hard to keep up with all the names. And since we don't see them all the time, she knows a lot of the nieces and nephews even better maybe than all of the aunts and uncles who can't travel all the time by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. My youngest sibling is 15 now. She just turned 15 yesterday, and it's like crazy, but they can't travel by themselves. And so like if they're not all out to visit all the time, it's easy to forget.
Wait, how did she forget? What do you mean?
Like
What
she
happened?
can't remember like the name Johanna, and she's like, wait,
Yeah.
what? That's like one of your siblings? Like, but it's just because there are so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happens.
Jeremy, do you know, are you able to recite all the names in order?
Oh, easily.
You got it down? 19?
Oh, no, he does not.
That's
But
impressive.
Go for it. We've done
impre-
this one. Well, it was a couple years ago, so maybe you do now. Go.
Oh, you want me to go?
Go. In order.
In order: Josh, John, Jana,
It's actually Jana John. because
Jana,
she's
John.
older,
Okay, she came out 30 seconds earlier.
but- Yes.
Oh, okay.
Twins.
Wait. Jill, Jessa, Ginger, Joy,
Nope.
Jill.
Ginger.
Jess-
Ginger.
You're 6. I said Jessa.
Yeah, but who comes after
Ginger.
me?
Joy.
No. There are 2 more in between.
Oh.
There's two.
I was just thinking girls at this point. Joe.
Uh-huh.
And then there's Joe. And then there's, it's not Josiah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and then it's you.
Nope.
Oh, after you. And then it's, oh man. We can edit this,
I
right?
put you on the spot. I'm so sorry. I'm
This
so
is
sorry.
actually
No,
fun.
this is good. This is good. This is good. I like this. I like this. Then it's the twins.
No.
Jed and Jier.
No, it's
pretty
you
sure
already
it is.
said.
Did I say them already?
You
I
already
didn't
said
say
a
them
name.
already.
No.
You're
Joy.
doing great.
Joy's
Joy.
next.
Oh, she's the
How
other
could
girl.
you
Joy.
forget Joy?
Bro.
Jed,
Joy's our
Jier.
home.
Joy.
Yeah, Joy's cool. Jed, Jier.
Yes.
Okay, now we're going
Yep,
quick
you're doing
succession.
good.
Now we're Justin, James.
Nope.
James, Justin.
No, Jason.
Jason, James, Justin.
Yes.
Johanna,
Jackson.
Jackson, Johanna, Jenny, Josie.
Jordan.
Jordan, Jay Jordan.
Jay Jordan, and then
Jackson. Oh,
No, Jackson,
Is,
Johanna.
no, Jay Jordan's second youngest, so it's Josie Jordan.
Wait, is there a Jay Jordan
so
and a
it's
Jordan?
Jackson,
No,
Johanna,
I just call her Jay Jordan.
Jennifer,
Oh, okay.
Jordan, Josie.
Yeah, she's second youngest.
Okay.
Jordan. Yeah.
Round of applause. Honestly, dude, that's
All right, ready
impressive.
for the grandkids?
That's
So now we're going.
That I can't do that. I can't do the grandkids.
Really?
There's no way.
Are there any grandkids that you don't know their name?
She just said that.
Your nieces or nephews? Like
Well, you wouldn't be able
probably-
to rock them all,
Yeah,
but if you
probably-
saw
How
them,
do
you'd
you
know.
do birthdays?
You saw
I'm
them,
just
you
thinking
know.
logistically.
Probably yes.
Do you just send birthday
Candles.
texts like?
I try. So we have a group message, a family group message,
Oh, if they're, like,
and they will
sending it.
always
Yeah.
say. So I think today is Austin's birthday,
Oh, and you had a birthday yesterday.
Wait,
Today's
and
Austin's birthday.
yesterday was Josie's birthday. So, yeah, it's great.
Should we call Austin?
Happy
Ju-
birthday, Austin.
just casually calls Austin on the podcast.
podcast.
By the way, guys, our coffee is here.
It's
Go
here.
grab it.
I'm gonna go
Oh,
grab
yes?
the coffee.
Wait, and then I have something I really want to talk about because it was in your book, and I was like,
Let's go.
"That's crazy." Thank you to Lume for sponsoring this portion of today's episode.
Lume is full body deodorant. It was created by
OBGYN.
It was created by an OBGYN who realized that there was a need for not just having deodorant for your armpits, but deodorant for your entire body. So that can go on areas like your private parts, areas like your back, if you got back sweat. I'm definitely guilty of smelling. That's definitely happened to me quite a bit.
You know, you're not that stinky for a guy, though. I
Really?
will say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, hey, full body deodorant, Lume. You got to try it out.
Yeah, like Matt was saying, an OBGYN formulated this, and the backstory is actually really cool because she saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. That's why she came up with Lume, basically, and it has been proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. After many requests, they formulated a new product to keep you smelling fresh and help you stay drier, and that's their whole body deodorant, like Matt was saying. Not full body, whole body, but same idea. It's a really great product. It keeps you smelling clean and fresh, and I also personally really love their deodorant wipes. I think they're really helpful to put in your center console of your car after you go to the gym or you're out and about. Lume's starter pack is perfect for new customers if you're interested in trying some. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash and the deodorant wipes like I was talking about, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lume products with our exclusive code. And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. Use code UNPLANNED for 15% off your first purchase at lumedeodorant.com. That's code UNPLANNED at LUMEDEODORANT.com. Please support our show and show them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Lume.
Okay. We are back.
So in your book, you talked about how when Jeremy asked you out for the very first time, it was probably cool moment, but there are cameras present. But then you had to do it several more times, maybe 10 more times.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, it was interesting, but I think it was so normal for me. It was super normal because that's all that I grew up doing. But yeah, I don't know.
I never knew that they would have you
moment.
repeat stuff like that.
They would try not to for special things like that. They would have one shot where it's very easy for you to just get it done, one and done, because they do want to get your genuine reaction.
Yeah.
But I think that day there was we had to go out on the front porch. So there was you had to come down the stairs. Okay, now go back up. Now come back down. Now come out the door. Now go back in. Because they didn't have enough crews that day probably. So it may have been one crew instead of the typical where they have 2.
So did you have to did you have to run this by the film crew before you even asked her to be your girlfriend?
Oh yeah, the whole thing was planned.
That's
way in advance.
Yeah. So you knew. Or you didn't know.
Did I know?
Oh, I don't remember if she
I don't
knew.
know if I
there
knew,
were things I would plan and surprise her.
Yeah.
But you had it.
I surprised her with the proposal. I surprised her with. I would show up and surprise her sometimes, but it'd have to be coordinated. So, I knew that her dad was going to come pick us up from the airport or pick me up from the airport. Then we were going to go to a coffee shop. Then I was going to ask him if I could date her there. And so that's planned. Now it's not scripted, but it's planned. Okay, because you have.
And
cameras.
they will have some things you have to talk about. If you, they'll give you a couple talking points. So he would say whatever he wants, but then he has to make sure. And usually at that point, the producer would step in and say, "Hey, you didn't cover this. So can you just chat for 2 minutes about it?" And then,
or he'll come whisper in your ear. If let's say this was a dinner or something, or we're hanging out and there's film crew, and they're filming it. You'd have the producer come up and go, "Hey, make sure you ask Matt about that." I go, "Oh, okay." And then, a minute later, I say, "So Matt, tell me about this."
Yeah.
So it was reality, but then it wasn't.
You
know how it goes.
And then then we go to.
I'm actually shocked. I never really. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But I've never thought about it from the back end like that.
Because otherwise, the challenge is people are missing major parts of the story.
Yeah.
That if those who have been watching forever get.
Yeah.
So they understand the background and where Jeremy came from, but sometimes they need you to rehash things so many times for those who weren't there.
It's kind of like vlogging on steroids because we're not the best vloggers because everything is so random because we don't plan it.
Oh yeah.
So all of a sudden we'll be uploading stuff to our editor and it'll just go from we're here, then cut. Now we're over there.
We understand what needs to happen to get there,
right?
But half the time I'm just no.
You guys,
so for reality TV, they're having to lead you through the moments so that even little things if I was going to come in, one time I surprised her in Nashville, and you walk in the door and then they go, "Okay, wait, come back. So now the camera guy has to go in on that side, and now you open the door from that side. So he got an angle of me going in this side, then I had to walk out, then I have to come in, so he gets it from this side. And things like that where you're going this is reality. I'm genuinely coming into this room to surprise her. But I just had to do it twice.
Yeah.
But then it gets to the point of like, even like social media, like you take a picture, that's reality, but then you go, oh, no, let's retake it. You know, so it's a weird kind of, yeah.
Did that get frustrating for you?
No, moments like that would have been like when I'm trying to ask her to be my girlfriend or something, and there's certain hoops you have to jump through, or there's certain, you're just kind of like, okay.
Or you have to talk about something you've talked about so many times
Oh, that's
as
the
a
most
topic.
frustrating.
So like that was after we were married. That's when you felt frustrated.
Well,
I
they
feel
would
like
just
you would get
incessantly,
frustrated.
you have to bring them up to speed on things. So especially in like interviews, you're sitting there for 6 hours on a couch like this, interviewing. So you're looking at a camera, the producer's next to it. You've got, you know, all the accoutrements around, and you're sitting there talking. And every time they come, they ask you the same questions just to give a baseline.
And it was because
if they have to edit it a certain way.
For instance, like when the weddings, all of my siblings got married. Like one year we had 3 weddings in a year, and so every time a wedding would happen, we knew what we were going to be asked. Okay, tell us about how you first met. Take us back to your wedding day. Take us back to your first kiss. And we would always have to re-answer questions that we had just answered a couple months before. So those types of things, we would be like,
I feel like
you
we've
almost roll your
already
eyes
talked
like,
about
okay,
that. Right.
we talked about this, and everybody's going to have it memorized, the answer, because we've had to talk about it so many times recently. So things like that, which it's not the end of the world. It was just like, it was just like a little
reality TV.
It was just what you had to do.
I feel like for your personal vlogs on YouTube, you guys should put up like a sheet in like your guest bedroom and just put a camera in there and have the do your own, like one of you should be the interviewer.
Interviews.
One of you could be the interviewer and the other one's like, yeah, so today we went to the beach with the kids, and, you know, like
That's not a bad idea.
Honestly,
Can you be our executive producer?
I would
That's
love
so
to.
great.
You'd be great at that.
It's brilliant. Yeah, he would be great at that.
You guys
I
have the
love it.
background too. You're like, I know what kind of questions they ask.
Oh,
I
my
know what they're
That's
gonna
the
Totally.
thing. That's probably why
Totally.
sometimes I won't want to like go that route of like making everything so perfect on the vlog, because
Yeah.
it was years of that. So in my head, I feel like I could produce a show
Yeah.
because I know what I'm gonna have
Well-
to do. Like if I walk into a room, but sometimes you just check out and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna do that.
We
I don't
recently
want
did
to.
a little Q&A on our podcast with these Connect cards that Jeremy and Audrey Roloff did for couples, like to start a conversation.
Nice.
Super
And they're really
fun.
cool. And one of them was like, what's your dream job? And tell them what your dream job. So it's not like a CEO. It's not like an exec. It's not like...
I've
Tell me
always
what
said, I told Jeremy, I was like, if I ever went to like work at a normal job, then I would want to be a PA in LA, to be a production assistant.
Oh, cool.
So
You'd be great at that.
Because I don't know. I feel like it just seems so fun.
Holding the boom.
So
Okay.
no, the PAs don't even do that.
Oh, yeah, that's all
they
you
only
get.
they'll hold the like reflectors and stuff
Yeah.
for the crew, but they get the coffee, they get the food, and they make sure that they have enough C-47s, you know, or whatever they're called. So just the little clothespins.
Yep.
Hey TLC, if you're
It's great.
watching this, we found your new PA for all of your reality TV show. And honestly, this is great behind the scenes content for you guys too, because she's kind of like an OG TLC
Yeah, big
Well,
time.
star. So
Big time.
I mean, I don't know what shows I'd work on, but I think I'd have to choose one that, maybe is not so close to home.
yeah,
You're like a little different niche, maybe.
Well, I feel like reality TV is going to evolve based off of, you know, things that we've learned from the just start of it. Like it seems like your family was kind of the start of reality TV, and so obviously everyone's learned a lot about, you know, what can happen, what doesn't happen, all that, and hopefully, I feel like we're already seeing this, but I'm thinking that reality TV will get like better and better for the people on the show. Just because unfortunately mistakes have happened in the past and we can learn from those, you know?
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I think
Yeah.
so. I definitely think that the more time that goes on with that, and then also like even with social media, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
next thing. It's
Yeah.
reality TV basically for a ton of people because they're putting everything on social media. And so I think that the way that people view it, or maybe like for us, like protecting our kids and you all as well, like
Yeah.
there are certain things that each family will realize, like, okay, maybe we're not going to go that far, or maybe
Yeah.
we're going to have certain parameters here. And I think that you'll start to see more of that the older that kids get who grew up in it.
How do you guys like to protect your kids? I know you guys don't show your children on, or I guess you don't show their faces on social media. Do you have any strong convictions there about why you do what you do when it comes to protecting your children? Growing
up on TV from the age of 10 until 27, it was something that it was just my life. And so looking at that, I think through the hard times, that's when I really started to think like, okay, do I want my kids to have this life? Yeah. Do I want them to be front and center in everything that we do? And both of us felt like we didn't want that for our kids. Mm-hmm. We wanted to give them privacy. And then if they choose to be in the public eye later, that's all cool. Like we're all for whatever they want to do. But for us not to make that the driving force of what we do, because I think that whenever everything's going great, it can seem fine.
Yeah.
But then whenever you have challenges and trials and like your kids are in the middle of it, it just makes it all harder.
Yeah.
And also for the privacy, we wanted to like not show their faces. That way they're not recognizable and they can have that just protection. And also like, we don't highlight them a lot in like what we talk about. We'll talk about them here and there publicly, but we don't talk about every little thing that they're doing. And I think some of that is just because we want to make sure that they're able to just have their childhood. However, just live out their childhood, enjoy it. And we're not using that as an opportunity for us to gain anything from. And it was just something that we were convicted of. And other people who do things differently, I see why they do it, and I don't have a problem with that. It's just us personally. I think especially the way that, growing up in that setting, that's why I'm more protective of my kids now. And I don't have any, like, it's not like I have major regrets or, oh, I wish I didn't have this exposure. But I think I just see the positives and the negatives, and I just feel more protective of my kids.
100%. You talked in your book about paparazzi hunting you down while you're at the grocery store, and you had an awkward moment. Can you tell us a little bit more of the inside scoop of what exactly happened and how you were feeling when you look in the news and you're like, oh, paparazzi's taking pictures of me while I'm at the freaking grocery store? Like what happened?
Yeah, there's a season where it was a little out of hand, and I found myself trying to go to the post office and being followed and just going back home because I was like, I'm not gonna go. And I think there was a season where it was just very stressful, and a lot of public family stuff was happening. And so we're easy targets because we did not live in a gated community.
Yep.
And they could just literally see me open my door, get my mail, and take pictures, and then they legal? Get money.
You can, paparazzi can just come to your house.
Yeah.
Like do a stakeout, literally just have the camera ready to go. They see your door open, they'll take a picture of you. That's legal.
It is.
That's freaky.
One time I even drove to the police station because I think after so many months of it, it started to wear on me. Honestly, I felt like I just wanted to keep all my windows closed and not go out because it was so stressful. And it was around a lot of the time where it wasn't just like they did want pictures of me, but it was more so because they wanted to write articles about other family stuff that was happening.
Yeah.
And all the pictures were of me because it was easy to get. And the family lives in Arkansas, so you have to fly people in, right? So I got it. But there was one time I was driving, and I drove for like 15 minutes trying to lose them safely. I had a way of doing it. I would go through like all of these neighborhoods, and I'd backtrack. And if the car followed me, then I knew I was being followed. And I would memorize the cars on our street. There was like 30 cars, over neighbors.
Yeah.
Had them all memorized. If there was a weird one, I'd write it down on my notes because I knew that they were probably sitting there waiting to get pictures or waiting to follow me. And some of them would not blur our kids' faces for a while. And we had to as soon as it was posted, I would get on them and I would message, you need to take that down immediately or blur their face. So things like that, right? So it was just a struggle. But this one time I even went to the police station and asked them I was like, hey, I'm being followed. Can you please take care of this? They're like, why are you being followed? I was like, well, it's paparazzi. And they said, we can't do anything.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The police can't do
anything.
They
said we can't do anything. They said you can stay here as long as you'd like. But that was at some point where every time I went out, I started getting shaky because I felt so anxious. Even though I knew they were just going to take a picture, it's in your head, right? Like I have my kids. And you're in LA. You want to think you're safe, but then you also realize, well, there could be some crazy people out there.
Yeah.
You don't know who's who. So I'm being followed by a dark tinted car, and I know, okay, this one I knew was paparazzi because he had got pictures of me before, and I knew his car. I had it on my list. Mm-hmm. So, it just, those types of things come up. Well, there was a funny story. I was, I say it's funny now, but like that, this is what happened. I went to the grocery store. It was on Felicity's birthday. I was getting her party supplies. So I had like tons of cases of like drinks. And on the very front, I had like 2 cases of water or whatever. And when they did the checkout thing, they took the case of water off and barely put it on the front, like on the very bottom. And so it was hanging off the front of the cart. Well, I go walk out of the store and I hit a divot in the parking lot and the entire cart goes up in the air and starts to flip. Well, I had on top of the cart, like where the kids typically would sit in the child seat, there was like another case of water and bags of ice. So I am, as soon as this goes up, the cart goes up, I'm literally putting my entire body on top of the cart, trying to hold it down. I'm trying to pull the cart down. It was so funny. It was one of like, I was like, this is my most embarrassing moment. As it was happening, I was thinking, this is just so mortifying. Cause like I'm losing my entire cartload of all the groceries. Like everything's about to flip totally over. So in that moment, I was able to like recover the cart. Probably because I was working out a lot at that time, right? I was actually strong enough. Like I almost lost it. Like I literally almost flipped the entire cart. So get it recovered. And I'm looking around like, did anybody see me? Did anybody see me? Oh shoot. Like this is great. There were people who saw, but they were just kind of like, okay, that's weird, going about their business. And then put everything in the car, got home. It was fine. And it was like a day or two later, there was an article. And it popped up and it was like, I can't even remember the headline now, like off the top of my head. But basically like Ginger takes a spill or her cart takes a spill, whatever. It was really funny. And it had all the progression of photos, me walking out of the store. I had like a Mickey mask on, so I look like a clown already. And I'm like walking out and I'm like happy or whatever. And then you see my face like get crazy. And I'm standing on my tiptoes, like trying to hold the cart and laying my entire body on there, trying to like pull the thing back down. And oh wait, here we go.
You found the photo?
Ah,
oh my
gosh. It's so great.
Oh my
this
God.
is it. But
wait, we got to throw that on the screen so
that
everybody can see it.
moment, that moment
Can you text that to
that
me?
has
Yeah.
the full progression of all the photos. I sat there and typically I feel like I'm about to cry when I see photos because I'm like, leave me alone. Mm-hmm. But that time I laughed out loud for like days. I would be sitting there doing something, washing dishes, and I would start laughing out loud because I was like, it felt like such an embarrassing moment when you're in that setting. Like, I'm such an idiot. I should have checked the front of the cart. But I actually reposted it because I thought it was so funny. I reposted just the photo and just said like, this happened,
That's funny.
Because it was one of those moments where I just thought, okay, like everybody will have something like this happen where you're just like so embarrassed. And I said, just when I thought no one was looking, like you're just have that sigh of relief. At least no one else was here with me. None of my friends or anything. And then it's everywhere. So that one I got a good laugh out of, and it really was.
I looked it up. I'll be honest
funny.
with you. After reading that, I was like, I gotta find this picture. It was funny.
Yeah, it was so good.
I think people have since reposted it, and one of them was like, one article was like, Ginger wears short shorts to the grocery store.
Oh my God.
I was like,
Those
what?
are all the headlines.
Why?
Yeah.
I guess
Short-
because of the culture you were raised
Yeah,
in.
anything other
I was like,
than a
Matt,
dress
she's wearing
or a
Nike
skirt
dry
that's
fish shorts
long.
like
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
else. More
Yeah.
clothed than a lot of people.
For sure.
More than half an inch above the knee.
Yeah.
Totally.
How could you?
That's crazy. That must be
that's
frustrating.
seriously all the headlines. And so that was part of the frustration too, is like, I'm not trying to like rub anything in anyone's face either that's still like in that place. Like but the headlines, half of them are like, Ginger, bashes her family or whatever. I'm like, no, I'm literally just living my life. Just
You're like, I dedicated my book to my mom. I love my family.
Yes, for sure. And that's the difference, right? Like, so that
I'm
was an
sorry about
experience.
that. But that does
That was
also
an
make me think about in
experience.
your book when you're talking about swimming with skirts on, which I'm like, yeah, no wonder you couldn't swim. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think many people can swim.
Yeah.
And were they denim skirts too?
It was not. It was like a modest swimwear. So it had like built in almost like leggings like this, but then it had a dress part that was like swim material, but it came down like below the knee.
It was made for swimming.
Yeah. Wow.
What do they call it? Modest something?
Modest swimwear, but I don't remember.
Is that a brand or something?
No. Can't remember the brand name.
She's
now.
like, I think our neighbor sewed them.
Yeah.
Wait, actually?
It was interesting. No.
You could
But
buy
I'm
this
just
on the
saying,
market?
like, it was just an interesting thing, and they had like, it was just not easy to swim in. Let's just say that. So I didn't learn how to swim, and then even if I did get in the water, there was one time I was so embarrassed. I was like, I'm not going to do this. So I just avoid water like the plague until we lived in California, where you can't avoid water.
Yeah,
'Cause
now
it's
you're
everywhere.
learning.
So I am. We have a pool. We have a fence around it because our kids are Felicity's just learning to swim. Like this summer, she just started swim lessons, and I learned to swim, but I'm not like a very confident swimmer yet. So I'm getting there.
I'm
really
not
getting
a really
there.
good swimmer, actually, either.
Jeremy, did you teach Ginger to swim at all? Was that something that you guys?
No, we would go swim together. I'd try to teach the doggy paddle, but she actually has
couldn't get it.
a
couldn't
really good friend who
Yeah,
grew up
my
in
friend
Hawaii
Becca,
and
she's
swims like a
from
fish.
Hawaii. She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's taught all of her kids, a lot of friends to swim. So she was so sweet. I was actually like very pregnant with Evie, our second, and she was like, come over, because I was just telling her how embarrassed I was that I couldn't swim. And also, I wanted for safety to be able to like help my kids. If they
Yeah.
ever were in a bad situation, I don't want to go get help. I want to know how to swim.
100%.
So I knew I needed to learn. And she was like, I'm going to teach you. So the only problem was, wouldn't recommend trying to learn how to swim when you're 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Not ideal. You
Yeah.
already are having trouble catching your breath.
Yeah.
But she
Yeah.
was so sweet. I actually was able to like get a lot of the basics. And then after I had Evie, I went back and she really like helped me, and then it clicked. So I know how to swim now. Like in theory, I can do it. I can jump into the deep end of the pool and I can get to the side.
Nice.
Can't swim very far. I can swim across the pool
You're like, I can
maybe
get
if
to
I
the
push
edge.
off.
I'm not going to die at this point.
That's it. Survival. I can survive in a pool.
That's a power move that you're like, you know what? I'm an adult. I can't swim, but I'm going to learn how to swim. And you just did it anyway. You're
I
like,
looked horrible. She so she recorded videos so I could remember for the next
Let's
time
put
we come
those
back.
videos up. Let's
Those are not coming out ever. I mean, I was embarrassed to show Jeremy, but she's like, let's show him your progress. And then I watched the video and was like, no. Like, talk about being a people pleaser. I was not about to send him the video because it looked so bad.
That's how
I
you know
looked
you're a people pleaser.
horrible.
You're afraid of showing your husband.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
There have been so many times where I'm like, no.
She gets embarrassed
I
by
look
stuff,
so
and I'm like,
bad.
babe, it's me.
It's just
You're
us.
fine.
He
Yeah.
always tells me that. So that's how bad
kinda
of a people
sweet,
pleaser I
though.
was, though.
That's sweet,
Yeah.
though.
it was funny because Abby's not a people pleaser at all. Like she's so
Don't say that.
no, but it's a good thing. Like you're
Yeah.
you're confident, you're comfortable in
Yes.
yourself.
There were
you're not
still
insecure.
things I can relate to.
You're not insecure, and so
Yeah.
like, which is amazing. Like I love that for you so much. But we were talking about the book, and I was like, yeah, I feel like this book could be a lot more helpful for me than you, because like
Yeah, I wrote Matt next to so many parts in here, and I was like, read this. Actually, a part that I was like, I knew that you would think was really cool, because I'm always trying to push Matt to be more social, was the super agers you were talking about. That is a fun fact. Share that
Yeah.
fact, because that is really cool.
Thank you to Rocket Money for sponsoring this portion of today's episode. Do you have subscriptions that you cannot get rid of for the life of you? I know I've been there. It is so annoying. Well, guess what? Rocket Money has your back, because they can cancel your unwanted subscriptions for you. And not only that, but if you say, so let's say you have like a home security bill that has just gotten to be so high, they keep raising the rate of it, and you're like, I want to call and negotiate this bill down, but I don't know what to do. Rocket Money will negotiate your bills for you. They've done that for us, and they literally brought our home security bill down from $45 a month to $30 a month just by us asking them to. That's it.
The thought of me calling like a company to negotiate something, it's just not going to happen. That's terrifying, honestly. That's on my list of things that I will avoid at all costs. But what I don't like is wasting my money. So it's really nice that Rocket Money has my back. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. years. Let me tell you guys, it's a new year. It's time to get a hold of our finances. And I feel super motivated, like especially at the beginning of the year, like wanting to save in areas that I don't care about so I can spend more on areas that I actually do care about. And Rocket Money really is a great tool to help you get there. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals fast with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/unplanned today. That's rocketmoney.com/unplanned. rocketmoney.com/unplanned.
There are people that were studied that are super agers because they were trying to figure out like what makes them age so well and how do they live so long. And I'm trying to like remember all the specifics of that story, but
Well, it's community.
It is the community that like drives them, and that's how they're actually, because they're so engrossed in the community around them, that actually gives them what they need to live longer and to live the happiest, most fulfilled life that they possibly can. And it's a sweet thing because sometimes we think like, okay, we're fine on our own, and there will be seasons where I don't know, there are seasons where I feel like, oh, I'm such an extrovert, and then like I have to be around people, but then I also feel like there are introverted sides of me too, where I could just be so content to just like want to isolate myself. But part of that is because of the people pleasing. I feel like, well, it's more comfortable.
Exhausting.
Yes. Cause you're thinking, what does this person think about me? How am I appearing before them? Like all these things. And then when you get in that thought process, it's like, well, I'll just isolate myself and stay home.
Yeah.
Or I just won't connect with somebody. I won't go to dinner with them because I just feel like a mess today.
Or you get afraid to go to a social event because you're like, what is everyone going to think about me? What if I do something weird? What if I like embarrass myself?
Yes.
And it's just like, it's weird.
Yeah.
You know?
But that comes up. That's the first thing that we think about as people pleasers. And I think that when we realize that's unhealthy and it's also selfish and it's manipulative to like think like, okay, I'm going to try to figure out how I can make everybody else think I'm great in this situation. Then you're going into every situation not caring for that person, not loving them like you should, because all you're doing is trying to get something out of them. So it's just
humble.
That was one of the biggest revelations when I was reading this book and then working through it with her as she was writing it. It was like one of the things that I think is going to help people the most is understanding what she just said about it being manipulative. Because you think, I'm a people pleaser, so I must be really focused on caring about everyone else. No, actually, the caring that you're doing is to manipulate them to respond to you how you want them to respond, which is manipulation. You're trying to manipulate people so that you're comfortable. It might be a survival tactic, or it might just be something like, I want to be loved, so I'm going to manipulate this
like
relationship
a subconscious
with you.
thing.
Yeah. So, but when you realize, wait, that's not actually a way to love people by trying to manipulate them and move them on this chessboard to make me happy, then you realize, wow, I'm actually being really selfish. And for me, that was like mind blowing the way it's articulated in the book. And I think will be so helpful for people because to see it in the framework of manipulation is like, oh, I'm actually using people as a people pleaser instead of genuinely caring for them.
Also on that that page, it says like it's one of the top things researchers find when they're looking at the similarities of superagers. Like you're talking about how it's not their diet, it's not their histories, their finances, or medical care, it's their connection to other people. On that same page, I put a note in all caps that says Brahms, because where we went to college, we went on so many dates to Brahms.
I love that.
Wait.
It's the best.
Do you guys have Brahms in Arkansas?
We do. Yeah.
He is addicted to Brahms.
I will eat Brahms every single day.
Well, and also that's when you were talking about the cinnamon twist, which that was a story I had to tell Matt too.
Bro, that's so funny.
Sweet. Like,
it's so precious. That couple.
They probably had to buy a lot of packs of cinnamon twists.
Yeah.
For anybody that is confused about why we're talking about cinnamon twists in the book,
The Taco Bell cinnamon
which you should
twist.
all read. The book is amazing and it comes out. It'll actually be out by the time you guys are watching this episode, by the way. So go check it out. People Pleaser. It's amazing. But the cinnamon twist story is because, wait, should I tell this or should you tell it? Because it's like literally your story.
Either way.
Okay, whatever. But basically, they used to play broom ball with all these different homeschool families. And because Jinger was one of 19 children, her family at the time couldn't afford to get them fast food like that. That was just like money was tight. This was before the TV show, 19 Kids and Counting. And so one time, this other family bought all of Ginger and all of her siblings Cinnamon Twist from Taco Bell, and they thought that was like so bougie.
Yeah, and part of it was like we didn't look like everyone else there because they may have been homeschool families, but they were not like us. Yeah. They're more mainstream or whatever. And then there were also people from the community who were not even homeschoolers. There's just like a hodgepodge of broomball players, and it's like, yeah, and it was crazy. So, but we did not look like everyone else either. You know, we didn't blend in as well, and so there was a certain side of like feeling insecure about that, right? Like, how do we fit in? And I always felt like so awkward and uncomfortable in those settings, and then we can't afford anything. So that's another embarrassment on top of it. So you're sitting there, and this couple, they would always ask us like, what are you interested in? What are you like, I don't know, up to these days? And they would ask us questions and really try to like get to know us as kids. And it was sweet because, you know, they weren't gaining anything from that. And like, we were awkward and dressed different than everyone else. And I think that was something that stood out to me. They really cared, and they wanted us to like feel included and a part of like the group, even though, you know, we weren't the same as everybody else. And that sweet. really meant a lot. Yeah.
Did you or any of your siblings ever push back on the dress codes just from feeling awkward, or was that something that you didn't really feel like empowered to do or appropriate?
Yeah, I think that because of the culture and what we were taught, I think because of Bill Gothard's teachings, we thought that was the best way to honor God, and that's really what we were kind of taught. And so I thought that like those convictions were my convictions too, because I thought that's what the Bible wanted me to do, is like to wear skirts only that come below the knee, to not wear sleeveless shirts, things like that, right? And to follow all of these rules is how I'm pleasing to God. So I was also more of a people pleaser in that, even in that time. So I was just trying to stay on everyone's good side and be pleasantly like agreeable to everything. And I think that there might've been some of the siblings who pushed against it. We wouldn't really talk about that if there was like publicly. So I don't know, but for me, I just remember one time where it was that swimsuit that I was going to have to wear. And all these people were like going to the lake or whatever. My family was there visiting some friends out of state. And I just remember like saying, I'm not going to wear that. I'm too embarrassed. And I just did not go in the water, of course. And I didn't know how to swim anyways. So I was also embarrassed about that. But I just remember not going in the water at all that day because I was like too embarrassed about my swimsuit. So.
Because it was like the leggings,
yeah, the one
situation.
that goes like all the way down, you know, and then it's like the dress thing. And it was, yeah. And those friends were not just like us either. So, you know, they were probably wearing shorts and a t-shirt or something in the water with us. But I just was like,
better to avoid
I was like,
it.
I'm not doing this. And I felt so bad for feeling like I didn't want to wear that, you know?
Was there ever a time in your childhood where you disobeyed your parents?
I mean, I disobeyed them, but not like rebellion type things. Like I wasn't a rebellious child. So I wasn't going to push the boundaries. Like I said, I just wanted to keep everybody happy. And I think that they probably saw me as like one of the most compliant kids, and probably would have never expected me of all the kids to change anything. Because if I saw that something was in the Bible, I was like, well, I want to obey God. So I'm going to do that. But then once I saw like, okay, these teachings are not accurate and it's actually not what the Bible says, then I knew before God, I wasn't sinning. I was doing what was right, and I'm honoring God. So at some point I'm going to have to step out and just live that out, even if people don't agree with me or they think now Ginger's kind of crazy, you know, for living by what I actually see as true.
I know obviously you made this decision as an adult, and, you know, you'd moved out, you were married, you know, just like being a mom. But when it came to wearing shorts or not, you know, no longer always wearing skirts, do you think your parents perceived that as being disobedient in adulthood?
I think that it was interesting. Like, we talked to them about a couple of these issues, right? Because especially being in the public eye, I think there's more pressure.
Those articles are crazy.
Yeah.
That's another
and the
pressure.
things that people say are just not accurate. And as to why I do things that I do, it's not to spite anyone. I don't have ill will against even how like we were raised and the things that we did. Yeah, there's some things that are harder to work through long term because of it. But I'm not sitting over here like, oh man, now I hate that I was raised this way. Because I see how a lot of parents got into that. You know, I see how they had these convictions because they thought it was the Bible.
Yeah.
And they got wrapped up in a teacher that was teaching them things that they thought were going to save their kids. And so I get it. It's well-meaning and it seems so good on the outside.
Yeah.
So like all of these outward things I started to see that they were not actually based in the Bible at all, but they were just a man's opinion. Then that started to change the way I viewed it. And then it took me quite a few years to get to the place where I felt like, okay, now I'm so strong in what I believe that it's easier for me to talk about it, because I wouldn't even talk about it. Like I might have been wearing pants, but it was harder for me to like voice it because I was just afraid of like family and friends still thinking I'm crazy because I left those teachings. And so, yeah, it wasn't the easiest thing for me to do, to like step outside of all those teachings and like live it out, because I knew that I go from like being the easy compliant kid to being a difficult child in some people's eyes. So yeah, that was a challenge.
That's so, there's so many layers to that decision, but I applaud you for stepping out, and like you can tell that it wasn't just like a reactive thing. Like so much thought and years of like mentorship and seeking counsel went into like you coming to like, okay, now this is something I want to share about because I know that there's other people out there like me in the same situation. Very similar to your first book. Something that like stood out to me a lot about your book too is that you said growing up you never saw your parents disagree or really very much disagreement at all in the house. And I want to ask you both how you feel about like, you know, disagreements or you may have in your marriage and when it comes like as it pertains to your children.
Goodness, we don't want to. I mean, whenever we have a disagreement, we want to be respectful of one another, and so there's a sense of I want our children to be able to see us disagree and respect one another in that conversation. So I don't want to put on right for our kids like this everything's fine all the time.
Yeah.
Because that's not real life.
Yep.
So I want them to be able to see us work through things. I think I need to do a better job at how I vocalize disagreement to Ginger at times. I'm just thinking even like this past week of times where I just vocalize something that without being in a considerate way or considering your vantage point and knowing like our girls are listening to that.
Yeah.
You know? And so we never fight. And I don't think, I mean, there's no, I don't see a scenario where we would be fighting each other. I don't mean physical, but I mean even verbally.
Like a verbal fight, yeah.
Yeah.
But disagreements come up. And so how do we handle those disagreements?
Yeah, not being like sharp or like just, or like saying it with a certain tone, you know, like, oh, you should know that already. Or like whatever, you know, like just making an offhanded remark. I think
and it's easy to be derogatory and when you disagree with someone if they're not seeing it from your vantage point. So I want our little girls to grow up seeing us treat each other with respect when we agree and when we disagree, and having this consistency. So okay, mom and dad might not agree on this, but they're gonna treat each other with respect. They're gonna come to an agreement, and that's the important thing. That's the thing we're trying to teach Felicity right now is we are one. So our opinion is one when it comes to the. So if she asks me something and I say, no, sweetie, not right now, she's not allowed to turn around and go ask mom, who doesn't know what I said. She gives the other answer. Then she says, well, mom said yes. It's like, no. We are one. So
we're a team.
Don't pit us against each other.
Yeah,
here.
that's a huge thing now that we've been working through.
We're trying to work through that. But, and every, kids are smart.
I feel like our 2-year-old's already doing that.
No, he already. Our 2-year-old is an expert negotiator, so he knows every time that if he comes to me and asks me
he'll
if he
even
can have
say
marshmallows,
a little one, like if it's no to the first,
he loves
he says
sweets,
a little one.
Oh yeah,
just like me. Like he gets. I love sugar. He's the same way. So he loves marshmallows, chocolate chips, cookies.
Those are the things that he can reach in our pantry because they're like the ingredients. So then all of a sudden they're his favorite thing in the world because he can reach.
Totally.
Yeah. But one of the aspects I think, and this is something maybe from sort of the culture Ginger came from, but even maybe, I mean, I think it happens a lot in the church, is wanting to be rosy and perfect and everything, especially in front of the kids, everything's perfect, and you realize that's not real life.
Yep.
And we're not celebrating brokenness. So when you say like, oh, let's just be raw, I think some people go to the other extreme. It's like,
Yes.
let me just celebrate how broken I am. It's
Yeah.
like, well, no, brokenness is, we don't want to be broken. We want to be whole. So I don't want to be in a dysfunctional relationship where we're constantly disagreeing at each other's throats. That's nothing to celebrate.
Yeah.
But nor is it healthy to say, everything's great. We never disagree. Look, we're perfect. So how do we, in a very real way, as people who are broken by sin, but have a beautiful Redeemer in Christ, say, hey, we can work through differences with respect, with love for one another. And some disagreements are larger scale than others. Some are, where are we going to eat, or are we going to let the kids have that sweets? Others are we going to move across the country, or, bigger decisions. But showing them, no, I'm not afraid of our kids seeing us disagree.
And teaching them how to resolve conflict
Yeah,
through that.
it's
But
huge.
at the same time, there are also times where you need to step away and talk as a couple and not talk in front of them. So they see there's a
like-
stability, and there's not like, they're not like, oh, why are mom and dad talking about this? Yeah, there are times where we'll slip away, and like, if something's really bothering one of us, we are going to talk it out. And we're not like hashing out all of the issues in front of them, or big major things like decisions about every little thing in front of them, because there is a time where you need to do that. But on just the basic day in and day out stuff, or if I'm frustrated and I say something that's just not kind, of be like, oh, I'm sorry, babe, I shouldn't have said that, and like the kids are there.
Yeah.
And that way they can hear us apologize even if we
Yeah.
said something that was harsh, because it's like, you aren't perfect, and you want to see that when mom and dad sin against each other, we're going to apologize. And that's what we want them to be able to do.
I go to Felicity just 2 nights ago, and I was frustrated with her or something she did, and I didn't respond the best way, so I had to go to her and say, Felicity, will you please forgive me? Daddy got frustrated. I don't want to speak to you like that. Will you forgive me? And for her to sit there and go, yeah, I forgive you.
I think that's really powerful, like as
Yes.
the parent, to say that. I don't even know how I would have responded as a kid if that was like a common culture in our household.
Yeah.
But I imagine it would feel like really, really safe. And I think the fear as a parent is that like apologizing could make you look weak. But I
then-
feel like the opposite would happen.
Yeah.
But then the kid is, if you're never apologizing, then the kid is the only
They're the
one
problem.
who screws up.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Right.
it's always you
Totally.
correcting them.
Yep.
You're always correcting them. So they grow up just going, well, I'm just constantly screwing up, and they never do.
Yeah.
Well, when they see it reciprocated, and there are even times where I have to explain to Felicity that what she did was wrong,
Yes.
and how Daddy
Yeah.
responded was wrong.
Both are
So
wrong.
it's like,
explaining to her, like, you're not off.
We're both done.
You're not good for this.
like that. You need to obey Dad, but will you please forgive me for how I responded to what you did? So it's like, it's not just a one way street here.
And I think as a parent, there's 2 ways you can teach your kids. You can either, metaphorically speaking, crack the whip, use fear to get them to do, to train them up, to try to get them to do, the right thing. Or you can, kindly correct them when they do something wrong, and use positive reinforcement by encouraging them when they do something right. And I feel like the latter is so much better, because and on the first, flip side of that, if you're using fear to motivate your kids to do the right thing, they're probably going to have a lot of like mental health issues. They're probably going to be like constantly worrying about, oh my gosh, oh my gosh,
Right.
like, oh my goodness. But if they know that they are loved by their dad, if they know that they're loved by their mom,
And they just want to see them succeed.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
like just get excited about doing the right thing. Both can be effective in getting your kid to do the right thing, but I think using the positive reinforcement is so much better for their mental health, and they're going to grow up to be better human beings.
Yeah. And I think there's a balance, right? Because let's think of the scenario of like running in the street.
Yeah.
Well, there's a healthy fear of cars.
Yeah.
So you should have a healthy fear of,
There are
don't do
times
that.
where I will yell out, stop. I had to do
No.
that just
Yeah.
a couple days ago. One of my
million
kids
times a day.
at Jared's work, they get so comfortable.
Yeah.
And she was with grandma, and then she saw me across the street and wanted to run. And I was like, stop. And she didn't hear me the first time, so I'm yelling, and
Yes.
I'm like, here, all these people are around watching me, but who
Oh,
cares?
no.
You're
Mama
about to go
bear.
in the street, and so like they need to be warned of the dangers that are around.
But you can
because-
easily fall into this pattern of just constantly being negative. And,
Yes.
It's like, man, all day I'm telling her, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And so it's the other side of going,
I like that,
hey,
the
don't
positive
run in the street.
reinforcements, too.
Come on over here and let's
Wait
have
for
fun
Mom.
over here. Or
I will
there's
come get
a
you.
positive alternative.
But as
Yeah.
a people pleaser, doesn't it feel weird to yell?
Yes.
Because I've been in the
was a
same
little
place.
embarrassed when I yelled the other day, but I was like, also, I would be more embarrassed and I would feel horrible if my kid got hit
Yeah.
by a car.
Oh, I know.
So it's like, you have to.
I feel the exact
You
same
have
way
to.
because I've been learning I think part of me like learning to not be a people pleaser and like resonating with so much of what you said in your book is being a father. You have to, for your own child's good, learn to yell sometimes. Like if I've had situations too where my son is running into like about to get in the street and I have to yell and I don't want to sound mean or scary, but I kind of have to make sure that yell is powerful
That way
because
they
he
know.
needs to, because he knows that I never do that.
Yes.
And so when I go, Griffin,
like-
no, and he hears me, so he
They can, like,
stops right
freeze.
there and he doesn't go in the street.
Yeah.
And he's safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never use that. That's the only time I would use
I
that.
never had heard him sound like that before. I was like,
Yeah. But you have to. Like,
But
it's
he's
like
trying to
keep
that
him
or their
alive.
life.
Because I love
Right.
him.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's it. When it gets to the solution of people pleasing, and what Ginger writes about too is, as a people pleaser who's motivated by selfishness and manipulation, you're actually not loving the person because you're not going to tell them what they need to know. So think of the bully scenario. Here's a bully mistreating kids on the playground.
Yep.
That's not actually fulfilling for the bully. Like that's
Or
not
even
actually
your own kid. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, will you stand up for your own kid? There was a time we were at the playground. You probably remember this. It just came to mind. But there was a kid who was just there hanging out. I think his maybe grandparent was far away, like sitting in this building, not looking at him. He was a little guy. And he was just like angry and like he was just like in a mood, and you could tell like something was a little off. So Jeremy just started like positively trying to reinforce any little thing that he would do good. He was kind of like, our kids were there, right? And he was being super rough and like, but just angry. Like he was just angry. So Jeremy was like, okay, let's play this game, you know, like trying to like stand up because our kids were going to get hurt. It was a very tall playground. It was like 3 feet in the air. I mean, 3 stories, you know, and I was like, somebody's going to get hurt. And, but Jeremy like was able to like diffuse the situation and stand up and talk to him like, you know, hey, let's not, this is getting a little rough.
Yeah.
And no one was there to like stop him. And, but then he just started like, you know, talking to the kid and like, it was helpful, like diffuse the situation. But like in those settings, it can be so uncomfortable because it's like, you don't know what to do, but would you rather be quiet and not protect your own child?
Yeah.
Or, you know, just so this kid can do what he's doing? Or are you going to stand up and talk? Like there's a point where we just will be so consumed with other people think about us that we are not willing to speak up and say, no, that's not okay. Like we got to stop this.
and that's actually loving them the best.
Yeah.
It is,
Like so,
yeah.
so saying something to someone that makes them upset or makes them angry at you might actually be the most loving thing for them.
Yep.
And the selfish people pleaser says, I'd rather not say it to keep them happy with me.
Yeah.
The loving people pleaser who says, I'm actually going to please people for the right motivation says, I know you're not going to want to hear this, like your son running in the street, but I'm going to say it because I actually do love you. And so that's actually true people pleasing because you're pleasing that person in a way that's genuine, real, that they actually need, rather than doing it for your selfish motivation.
This podcast is sponsored by Orgain. Orgain believes real nutrition has the power to make a real difference in people's lives. If you're someone like me that's trying to get as much protein as possible in your day, that's like my major goal. I shoot for about 120 grams a day. Never sure if I exactly hit it, but at least that's my goal. But you're a little cautious about some of the suspicious things that go in certain protein supplements, then Orgain is the one for you. They're famous for their organic plant protein powder. It packs 21 grams of complete protein with all 9 essential amino acids. All Orgain products are made with USDA certified organic ingredients, so you know you're getting the nutrition you need without certain things that you may be trying to avoid, like soy ingredients, artificial sweeteners, flavors, or preservatives. Plus, their products are handcrafted with high quality ingredients. We actually have their chocolate flavor at home. It's very yummy. As someone that hasn't done exclusively plant protein before, I was a little picky, but it actually tastes really good.
You can't go wrong with it. They just take the quality standard to a whole new level.
And are you a busy person? Because we are too. That's why Orgain is simple. Orgain is made so you can literally just add water and go. No more time consuming prep to get you the nutrients you need, which is really, really important. As active people that also lead busy lives, it's important to get the nutrition we need, but also in a very convenient way. And that's exactly what Orgain is. ways. So remember, there are no quick fixes when it comes to your health. If you want more protein, give Orgain Organics plant protein powder a try. Head to Orgain.com/unplanned and use code UNPLANNED for 30% off your order. That's the best offer you'll find, but you'll have to use my code UNPLANNED for 30% off. One last time, for 30% off, head to Orgain.com/unplanned. Use our code UNPLANNED.
Something that you also talked about too, like true people pleasing, and like sometimes you're telling someone something that they might not initially want to hear, or it's tough to hear, like a correction, or like, I noticed this unhealthy behavior or pattern in your life, is about having like truly good community. And you kind of like spoke up a little bit against like the culture around like, what were the quotes you put in there, like, cut them out of your life. You're doing great, girl. Like, kind of talk about
just the positive talk.
Yeah.
I think that we're in a world where we've gone from an extreme of like, okay, we can just say whatever we want and like cut people down, to the full positive talk, to where it's like you can go to every side of like, you're the best, you're okay, you're always doing well. Well, sometimes I'm not doing well. Like, yeah, you can do this on your own. You got this. Like, and I think that can also be damaging, because then we can see like, oh, I don't need anybody. I can do this by myself. I don't need community, and I've got it all together. Well, sometimes I don't have it all together. And sometimes I need somebody to say, hey, I think, Ginge, like you're being a little rough, like you're being a little harsh. And I need to be able to receive that criticism and that critique, because it's actually what is the most loving thing to tell me in that moment. Yeah. And if you did that every single day, I'd be beat down. That's not always, that's not healthy either. But being able to be in a relationship where you can freely talk. And there have been some times where, I've gotten so frustrated with one of the kids, and Jeremy's like, hey babe, can you step away for a minute? Like, and that whole switch off thing, right? Like, I need to hear that in the moment, because I've been in this setting, like, and this kid's frustrated me for the past hour, and it's just come to a head, and I'm like, will you just stop? And he's like, hey, let's take a minute, take a breath. I can take over now. And like, just to like talk to me. And sometimes, it can feel like, okay, when somebody has a critique of me, or when they say something, then it's rejection. And I'm rejected by you now. Oh, I'm so embarrassed because I reacted that way. Well, yeah, I should take it. I should take responsibility for that action, but I should also be thankful that they said something, because it's not loving for you to just let me be like that, And I think that that's something that we all deal with, and especially in relationships, like even with other friends, I want them to be able to come to me if there's something that they see, or an issue, or even a concern they might have, to be able to talk about it genuinely, and me not to be defensive, because I think that's our first thing as people pleasers, is like, well, I wasn't doing that, or this was my motive. Like, just hear them out, and then you can talk about it, and without being reactionary. Like, your identity doesn't depend on that situation, just disconnect yourself from it, listen, hear them out. And I think that's the way that you can build genuine friendship, is when you're able to confront other people about things.
A couple years ago, there's a song that came out, and it was all about like, I can buy myself flowers, I can dance by myself, I don't need you. Yeah. And that is often the response to people pleasing, of like, well, I'm sick and tired of being enslaved to everyone's opinion of me, and me cowering to it. So let me go to the other side and go, I don't need anybody. Yeah. It's like, no. You do need people, but that's not the answer. That's not the answer. Yeah.
What if you just have balance in your life, right? Yeah. Like, I think that's the key, because I think, maybe it's more so our parents' generation, but obviously you have experienced this too. But I feel like maybe like our parents' generation was, don't talk about your mental health, don't talk about your feelings, just like put your head down, work, whatever. Yeah, like you don't matter. Like, it's just like, be selfless. Like, humans should just like don't make it about you. But now I think to correct that, we're seeing in our culture, you're powerful, you're amazing, you're a queen, you're a king, whatever. Which is really, I think that can be helpful maybe for someone who's like deeply insecure, to recognize like, hey, you actually have value. Like, you are important,
value and worth as a person. Yeah, created in the image of God.
But it's like, I think the whole point is just finding that middle ground of like, hey, you're valuable, and so you're
not perfect.
But you're valuable, but you're not perfect. And so like, maybe if you have people in your life that are telling you not to do something or to do something, you should always evaluate like, okay, are these people, is this the right group speaking into my life?
Yeah.
Do they care? Do they care about what's best for me? Do they have selfish ambitions that maybe they're trying to use me for something? Maybe I need to change the friends I'm around, because you're really as people, we represent our like 5 closest friends. Like you just get all those tendencies and behaviors from the people that you surround yourself with. So I think it's really important to evaluate when someone encourages you or discourages you. Know, like, hey, are they speaking truth into my life?
Yeah, and I think that along those lines too, we realize like, okay, if we are getting our self-worth from what people are saying about us positively, the next second they can be saying a criticism. And like even the critics online, we all see it. Everyone sees it on social media, right? Like it doesn't matter what kind of following you have. You can have somebody who likes the photo, somebody who says, that's stupid, why would you do that? And if you're just allowing that to be your self-worth, like what somebody says about you, then that's wrong as well. Like, because if they quickly build you up, they can tear you down the next second. So don't let your identity be wrapped up in what people are saying either. I think that's where, for me, it's been helpful to see like, okay, the answer to people pleasing is people pleasing, which is just so crazy, but you're doing it not out of a negative desperation. You set that aside. You stop thinking, what can I get out of you? Or are you popular or famous? That's why I want to be your friend. Well, that's going to suck. That's going to lead you to bad places. So then you start asking, how can I serve you? How can I look into this relationship, and not seeking to get anything out of it, because it's so easy. Naturally, we think like, what can I get from you? And I think I went into so many relationships like that, and I left disappointed, because I was like, this stinks. Like I can never get satisfied in this relationship, because I'm just like afraid of what you think of me, trying to figure out what I can get out of you. And that's just not a good way to live.
It's crazy. Something I've been talking with a group of buddies that I attend like a men's book club with is how we let fear control so much of our lives as humans, because we're fear driven. It's like, oh, I'm afraid this is going to happen. Oh, I'm afraid this other thing might happen. And it's wild, because I think fear has played a huge part of why I've people pleased. I'm still working on it. Like I'm not I act like, oh yeah, and I'm not people pleasing anymore, but like I'm a work in progress. I'm not a perfect person. But it's incredible how like you can want something so bad, like you want to make everyone happy, or you genuinely, like maybe it's coming from a good place, right? Like I know you said, obviously you've said how people pleasing can be selfish, but I would also argue there's ways where people pleasing can really truly come also from a really good place, where you're just like, I want to be a good person.
Yes, and you want to be in community. You want to have people like you. It's good that you don't want to just be a jerk and like, I don't care what you think. Like that's also a wrong reaction.
Abby and I had a conversation a couple weeks ago where I realized that Abby has been operating, I really think throughout our whole relationship, in a place of just being content and not being driven by fear. She's very secure in herself. She's not insecure, which is such an attractive trait to have as a person. And I was realizing how I've lived my whole life being like super insecure. And I was like, babe, like, cause I was starting to feel secure. I was starting like to feel like I was experiencing what it felt like to be secure. And I was like, this is a really good feeling, Abby. It's like, this is amazing. Like, so you don't like think about what other people are thinking about you all the time. She's like, no, I don't really care. No, I mean, and I'm like, wow, I'm like, this feels amazing. This feels so good just to know that you're valuable just as you are.
It's not fun to be desperate.
No.
Yeah.
You said that in the book. You said desperate doesn't look good on anybody or something like that.
That's for sure. Yep. That's exactly it. Yeah.
I think the thing that I love most about the book, obviously you guys have your faith, which is like so important to you. And I love that for you guys. And I think what's cool though is like anybody can read this book who has ever had a friend that struggled with people pleasing or maybe themselves. There's just something so raw and vulnerable in the book that you touch on so well, people pleasing. And it's not like you have to, you don't have to be exactly like you guys. You don't have to be from a Christian background to get something out of the book. So I think that's like really cool that you guys met people where they're at with the book.
Well, I was telling Ginger when she came up with the title, it was like well, no, surely there's got to be a book called People Pleaser.
Yeah.
And there's not. Like,
because it was like we were thinking, okay, what is a good title? You know, you always run those things like all around, like talk to the publishers and all of that. And like, wouldn't People Pleaser be a great name? But then it's like, no, that's not going to be possible. But it is interesting because so many people struggle with it. And that's something that I was just thinking, like, if it hasn't been spoken to that many times and it's like the title itself is available, that's just insane. Like, it needs to be spoken to because everybody understands, like, whether you are a people pleaser or you know somebody, like everybody knows someone who is. And so and I just thought, like, even me writing the book, you know, it's interesting because I like every day things will come up where you will struggle with something people pleasing related. And even though now I'm so much further along, like you said, that freedom that you feel, like when you have started to realize it in yourself, that's the first step of like realizing, wait, I am a people pleaser.
Yeah.
So I want to rethink how I'm thinking every single day, every event that comes up, stop and think like, okay, wait, I want to retrain my thoughts to not think that way because it's not healthy. And when you get that freedom from people pleasing, then you can see like, okay, now I want other people to experience that too. Because it's so miserable to live in a place where you're just constantly consumed by like, what do they think about me? Am I wearing the right clothes? All the things that come up in your mind every day. And I think that was something I thought, I don't feel like the best person to speak to this because I am a people pleaser. But at the same time, I just want to be raw and real about where I've been and the things I'm experiencing. And hopefully it will help someone.
Yeah, and Matt has said that I'm not a people pleaser, but there's definitely a lot of things that I could relate to too, especially when you said like the 2 reasons why, or the things we might get by people pleasing. You said one is to feel like we have a place, we belong, and then the second was to avoid being excluded, misunderstood, and criticized, which that one I was like, I can actually relate to that a lot. Like I feel like a lot of times, like for me, the worst thought is like at times have been like, oh man, like I feel frustrated that I feel misunderstood in this way. And I think also like through social media that has been like brought out more. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so misunderstood in this area. Or like sometimes it hurts to not feel included. And that's been things I'm like, okay, I feel that a lot. And so I just think that all that to say, I think there's a wide audience that can gain from this book. And then this is the quote that I read to Matt that we both were like, oh, that is so well said. Because I was like, man, I don't feel like I've always like been trying to win people's approval, but you literally touched on it right here when you said, my point is, I don't think you and I have been people pleasing just to be the most popular kid on the block. We learned somewhere along the way during hard and unpredictable and scary things, the one thing we can try to do was make everybody happy. Because if we could make everybody happy, maybe, just maybe, we could keep bad things from happening. And I feel like that just like so eloquently put something I had never been able to put to words in my mind. And there are so many moments like that in this book, but I feel like that's something that like so many people can relate to, where it's like, okay, I'm not really trying to be like the coolest, best person in the world. I'm not putting on for everybody, but there is like that fear element to it. It's like, maybe this will prevent things from going wrong. And just kind of like the freedom, like you said, from like letting that go and just being so much more receptive to others' needs through that. I thought that was really well said.
Oh, well, thank you.
Something I think will be really fun is you said in your book, Ginger, how you always would get fearful when people would bring up movie references, TV and film references.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were so sheltered growing up, being a homeschool kid with, 19 total siblings. So we want to play a game because you said in the book that you've
We'll
overcome
see how far I've come.
Apparently,
we'll see, Matt.
I wouldn't have done this if you still said this was like a big fear of yours. But since you said you've overcome this, we're gonna play a game.
I feel pretty good.
So we're gonna go ahead and say some big like movie quotes.
Karma was like, what are some movie quotes?
Good luck.
We'll start out
This is
easy.
gonna go terrible.
Yeah. How many of these
but
we
wait,
want to do?
does Jeremy get to like answer? Because he should. Then we'll see
He
how
can be your phone a
popular
friend.
they actually are.
I can be a phone of.
No,
She
but
gets
I'm
one
saying
phone.
then we'll
friend.
see if they're actually that well known because he would probably know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
So if
He'll
you
be
don't
our
know
standard
it,
of normal.
Right?
maybe
I
you
mean,
get 3
maybe.
cheats. Maybe you get like 3 options to cheat, and then Jeremy can help you.
There's only 4
Okay.
we have.
No, we can do more than 4.
Okay,
Oh,
we'll
we
do
got
more.
it. Okay. Wait.
We're gonna
loaded.
start easy.
Wait, you had the article pulled up. Did you pull this up?
Keep
This is-
swimming. Just keep swimming.
What movie is the quote, just keep swimming, just keep swimming?
I don't even know.
Oh my gosh.
You're kidding.
I don't know.
You're kidding.
I don't know.
Wait, Jeremy,
please
I
tell
watch
me you
tons
know
of
this.
movies. I don't know, but I have a guess.
No,
Okay.
Jeremy,
I have a guess.
Jeremy.
I literally don't know.
Is it this is gonna be terrible. I'm gonna say Jaws. Is that terrible? Is that terrible? Is it terrible? That's the first thing I thought.
Okay.
Is it Camp Rock? What is it?
Ellen DeGeneres is the voice of this character. This is
Just
like
keep
a
swimming,
comical
just
character.
keep swimming.
Disney movie.
Shark
Oh, so it's
bait, hoo-ha-ha.
animated.
Disney movie. Shark bait. Hoo-ha-ha. Come on.
Nemo.
Yes.
Nemo.
No.
Let's go.
No.
You've never seen Nemo?
This isn't gonna go well.
We're watching
Felicity's
Nemo.
seen Nemo.
Hey,
This
after
isn't
this,
gonna
we're getting
go.
sushi, baked sushi, and we're watching Nemo.
That seems
don't
wrong.
know.
That seems like a bad combo.
I've never.
Babe, keep your head up. Keep your head up. We
Okay,
got
let's
this.
go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Wait, let's keep going.
I might be just
I'm
as bad as her.
I'm hoping to get maybe one.
Okay. That was the one I was confident about.
Nope.
Okay.
Wait, what was number 2?
Okay, what about
I'm definitely in big trouble
Toto?
now.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Wait, say that again.
Toto, I have
Come
a
on,
feeling
Ginge.
we're not in Kansas anymore.
I'm going to say it with the sweet voice.
Sounds a little familiar.
Come on, Ginge. We've watched it.
We've
Toto,
watched it.
I have a
watched
feeling
it.
we're not in Kansas anymore.
No clue.
There's so many
No,
hints in
okay,
that.
I'm going to sing the song.
I don't know.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high.
Think of the Tin Man.
Oh, that one, The Wizard of Oz.
You got
The
it.
Tin Man. It's only because he said that. Because I've only watched it once.
Okay, what about?
To be fair, I wasn't really into that movie.
Like evidence.
I was like
Crisis
halfway
over
checked
here.
out.
She's like, it wasn't my favorite.
It wasn't my thing.
It was black and white.
Can I do this one?
Okay.
Okay, what movie is this quote from?
Sounds like Jeremy snoring.
Luke, I am your father.
Jack loves this series. I always make fun of him for it.
He's
Remember?
giving hints. He's
Wait,
giving
wait,
so
wait.
many hints.
Is this like? Hold on.
Think about conflict in the cosmos.
Is he like wearing a mask
Yes.
on his face
he
that
is-
looks like creepy?
Yeah, he has a creepy
It's
mask.
like a circle mask,
It's a
and
black-
he wears it.
It's
I don't remember.
Circle. No, I'm just
Is
kidding.
it?
Oh no,
It's
a
She's
black
thinking
mask.
She's thinking of
Batman?
Bane from
Okay, I'm
Batman.
gonna give you one more hint. Ready?
I don't think he knows where.
No. Okay.
Lightsabers?
Pew pew
No.
pew 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 pew.
R2D2.
R2D2.
I don't know, Iron Man. What are we? Where are we going? Where are we going?
What's the Yoda quote? What's the Yoda quote?
Think about
Jeremy, I
a
don't
fight
know.
in the sky.
I hate movies like that.
Star
A Fight in
Wars.
the Sky,
It
Star
was
Wars.
Star
Oh no, I haven't
Wars.
watched Star Wars
Okay.
because I was like, I didn't want to watch Star
Okay,
Wars.
Yeah.
to be fair, there's certain genres
Yes.
Okay.
that
I feel like you're
Ginger
gonna get this one.
Ginger avoids like the plague.
Yes.
And Star Wars, she hates the
Really?
fictional ones. Yeah,
I
she hates the
hate-
fictional ones.
okay.
Okay,
Fictional
this one I
stuff.
feel like you might know.
Okay.
Okay.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Yes, I know that from. But where is it from?
Okay, well.
Jeremy, I know that.
You
I
play
know
ball
that.
like a girl. That's another one. That's a
I
quote
know
from
you're
the same
killing
movie.
me, Smalls,
You're killing
because
me,
I say that a lot. But then I'm like, where did I know that from? I can't even pull it up. This is how.
It's a
this is
baseball
how
movie.
few-
It's a
Baseball
baseball
movie.
movie with
The
kids.
big dog.
There's a big dog that the kids are fighting. The ball goes over into their
So
yard.
this is on me for not showing you this.
This
I
is-
think-
we need
but
to
I know
watch this
that. I would say
immediately if
that,
you
have
though.
it.
I would say that.
There's is it Wendy Peppercorn who one of the main characters
If you
kisses?
list names of people, I'm never gonna or like
Okay.
not
or
that,
like
not that.
Sandlot.
whatever.
Have you
The
seen
Sandlot.
Sandlot?
Yes,
Okay, that's
I've
Sandlot.
seen it. You show? Did you show it to me?
If I haven't, I'm a
Because I
horrible
know that
husband.
you're killing
That
me,
should be the
Smalls.
first one you watch
Okay.
because
Okay,
that is
there you go.
really, really
so far,
good.
I've failed.
Okay.
These movies are all that you should go see. By the way, They're
Okay.
amazing.
No,
Oh yeah,
don't watch
we'll send you
Star
this list
Wars.
later.
Okay,
love
well,
it.
we shouldn't get one.
You'll get one, Ginge.
This
You
is a
want to
song.
do
If I
another
don't-
one?
This is a song that I sing to my kids. I'm gonna sing
Or
it
do this one.
horribly.
I like it.
This is kind of fun though. I want to do this one. Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase.
Is this like one of the
Hakuna
jungle
Matata.
movies or something?
Ain't no better.
Because there's like the jungle dance movie the kids are watching, and it sounds like it. But no.
Jungle dance
or
movie?
jungle
Jungle Book?
beat. Jungle
What about
Jungle Book, but
something.
you're really
It's the
You're close.
circle.
It's old school Disney.
Circle
Just think.
of
Think of
life.
this. Ginge.
That's
You
crazy
should
that you
keep
didn't
singing
grow
'cause
up
that
with
sounds
Disney.
great.
She didn't grow up with this.
know.
So what's core memories for us? She wouldn't have had.
Okay, so that's
It's definitely none of
that's
those.
Disney's The Lion King.
Lion
The
Lion
Lion
King.
King.
That's
Nope.
The Lion King from.
Do you know the one that's like?
Okay,
I should
that
know
one.
that too.
I'll do that. What is this one? The top one. My mama always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what
Yes.
you're gonna get.
Yes. But see, I'm bad with names.
That's okay.
And can
Describe
I just
it.
blame this on pregnancy?
Yes,
It's
pregnancy.
okay.
Yes,
Hey.
I know this because
I
it's
feel like
like
she'd get that one.
Yeah, it's on.
Forrest Gump?
Yep.
Yes,
Forrest Gump.
Is that the only one?
I didn't give her a single hint.
No, I
That's-
said
you got
Forrest
it.
Gump, but I was like not wanting to say it because I was
She won.
thinking it was
You got
another
it.
one.
She got it.
She got
I got one.
Okay,
Listen now.
that's one.
That's
No,
all
no,
we
no,
need.
no. This is
got
this is one of
one.
Abby's favorite movies of all
I
time.
can't remember
We
half
gotta
the
do
names
this.
too. That's a problem.
Oh wait, maybe you know this one.
I'm bad with
You
names
do the
of
voice.
movies.
Abby's really good at this voice.
5 o'clock. Jazzercise. 5:30.
Come on, you got it. You got it.
Come on, keep
I
it
don't know. Memorize. It's not gonna help if she doesn't recognize that.
Just keep going. Keep going.
What are you keep doing?
Just keep going. You know.
Max, that is not a chew toy.
Never heard of that.
What about this? Here,
What
I'm
is
gonna,
it? Do you know
I'm
what
gonna
it
do
is?
another. I'm gonna
Oh,
do another
nope.
one. It's not a dress. It's a kilt. Sicko.
Wow, that sounds like a great movie.
Jim
I've never
Carrey.
heard of it.
That's Jim
He's
Carrey.
dressed
like
up
Jim
as
Carrey
something
movies.
very green. It's a Christmas movie.
Oh yeah, you
Wait,
know
wait,
this.
wait,
This is
wait.
our favorite.
No,
The
it's
girls
not
love
Christmas
it.
with the
Felicity
Cranks.
No.
Wait, that's not Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
Doris, welcome Christmas.
Matt's committing to this.
We saw it the other day. He's dressed up in green.
I don't remember.
He tries to steal Christmas.
She's
The
pregnant.
Grinch.
Yes, you
Green.
got it.
That was
And
terrible.
there we
I gave her
go,
the
ladies and
subtitle.
Well, I was saying
gentlemen.
we didn't watch that movie the other day.
No,
We were at Christmas parades and the kids kept pointing out the Grinch.
Yeah,
But
Grinch.
I was like, see, I don't even know because I've watched the Grinch once. Like a couple years ago.
Hey, you know what? That is
This is-
okay.
this is
And
really great.
You probably are a happier person because you spent more time socializing than watching movies like we did as kids. So you know what? Like there's always
You're healthier for it.
yeah, you're healthier for it.
I don't know, though. This sounds quite
Here's a little
entertaining.
ginger hack. If you had given her Office quotes or Seinfeld, all over it.
Really?
So
Seinfeld.
All over it.
you know, it's great. It's
All
so
over
good.
it.
You know what my favorite my favorite Office episode is ever? Just because it's like so bad, like it would not fly in 2024. Is season 1 Diversity Day? Funniest episode
Yeah, no
ever.
chance.
Dude,
Is that getting
that
aired
show
today.
would get canceled in a heartbeat if that was
know.
released in 2024.
Crazy.
So funny. And when Kevin spills the chili, bro, love Kevin.
That's awesome.
So funny.
It is such a good show.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and Gilmore Girls. I'm like all about Gilmore Girls. So I just like watching through it, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I never watched through any of these. So I'm just like,
Getting
Let's
started.
go watch The
Going.
Sandlot, Jen.
Well,
Go
The
everybody,
Sandlot, you have to.
go
Okay,
buy
well-
Ginger's book. It is out now. You can go read it. I'm sure it's on Kindle because we like to read on our Kindle, right? It's probably, please tell me it's on Kindle.
Yep.
Because I read on
Audible.
my Kindle.
Anywhere,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank
Just
goodness.
any of the
but on print
platforms,
is,
so.
is amazing too. So
Wow. And the Audible book is from your voice.
it is.
That's really
that is cool.
It's a
And
labor of love.
you guys have your own podcast. You guys are like,
Yes.
you guys are more than 20 episodes into a podcast, which is honestly super
There you
impressive.
go.
Like that's a lot. We see all the behind the scenes, obviously, of what goes into a podcast. So like, congratulations on your podcast,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank
You
you.
guys
The
are
Ginger
awesome.
and Jeremy podcast. Check it out.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah.
I love that you have a J name too.
It's fun.
Let's go eat some sushi.
Let's do it.